The Windy City sets the stage tonight for a select group of 8 fighting for 3 last spots to make up the 4 that will advance and reach South Beach with an opportunity at a Season 6 championship. Live from the virtual Chicagoland Speedway, we welcome you to coverage of the final race in the round of 8 for Season 6 of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries and the Next Level Racing 120. Glad to have you along with us for the ride on Podium Esports. We're alongside Jacob Hitz in the broadcast booth. My name is Kenneth Bueno. We'll have Ryan Bauer punching the buttons all night long. He's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. And Jacob, the biggest thing that's on everybody's mind is that this is the final race before we get to the championship 4. There's only one opportunity left. These drivers set the tone at Pocono just 1 week ago in fantastic fashion. We had a great race there at the Tricky Triangle, which we're still debating how many turns there are there, but still, we jump into Chicagoland, a very abrasive racetrack, a truck that has a lot of downforce, a good amount of power, and then that big challenge of just making it to Homestead next week.
The correct answer, by the way, Kenneth, is 3 turns at Pocono, but they're going to have to deal with the, really, this track has nothing but a turn with how this track is shaped up. You've got the tri-oval on the front stretch, the back straightaway. It ain't as straight. It's not straight. It's curved. And then you obviously have the corners. You're turning left a lot around this racetrack. It's a little different to the 1.5 miles that we see next week at Homestead. Really the same idea, though. These two relatively close, I think, as far as how they drive. Both tracks going to be hot, going to be slick. Both tracks, they're worn out as well. We'll see how the drivers handle this racetrack. And you talk about the fight for the championship. That's what a lot of people are going to be focusing on tonight. Obviously, Chase Capri locking himself in at Pocono last week. I could see a non-playoff driver winning this race, which means that 3 drivers in the playoffs are going to have to point their way in. That is, I think, crucial for them because you've got guys on the outside looking in that pretty much need to win. You look at the points, and guys like Matt Stallneck, Leighton Sabile, they might need to go to victory lane tonight in order to have a shot for the championship next week. Others, right around that cut line, Paget, Sora, Vargas, I think they can be okay without winning, but they need to pull out all the stops tonight. No mistakes, no incidents on pit road. If we pit under green, if we pit under caution, doesn't matter. And you gotta stay out of trouble. That's the name of the game here tonight.
The biggest name might just be pressure in all of this. It's going to matter a lot for those guys beneath the cut line. Like you said, Sabile and Stallneck, they've struggled in this round as of late. And then you look at drivers like Joey Paget, Preston Sora, Ryan Vargas. All of these guys have been in mostly a playoff situation before. Apart from Paget, he's in a rookie season. We'll get into a bit of Paget's perspective on this race here in the round of 8 from Chicagoland Speedway. But pressure, the biggest thing on the drivers' minds, adorning with the green banners on their trucks tonight. So the fact that they've got that spot at Homestead Miami Speedway potentially waiting for them next week if they execute. Speaking of execution, we had a driver do that last season. That was the 98 of Presley Sora. Took home the championship in season number 5 at Homestead of Miami. He's going to look to point his way or maybe even win his way into the very same track 1 week from tonight. And Presley Sora joins us now in the broadcast booth. Presley, a very different situation you're in this time around in comparison to last season. Had a big points buffer. Last time we were in a semifinal race. You're below the cut line going into this race for Homestead next week. What's your mindset first and foremost for Chicagoland?
I'm just focused on winning. That's basically all I can do. That's the only way I can assure myself in the next week is just go out and win the race tonight. So that's pretty much the position I was in at Daytona a few weeks ago too, and I won. So it's not impossible, and I'm fast. So I think if I can just have a clean race with no issues, please, just a calm race with nothing stupid happen, then I think I should be able to contend for the win at least. And hopefully I'd like to be able to point my way in too, but I gotta have 7 points on Paget, and then the other guys are pretty far out there. So I think the easiest way I can do it is just go out and win.
And I know you've had a couple of laps with this truck in Chicagoland. I know the practice session's still well up and underway. Still got roughly 6 or so minutes before we have the checkered flag for that. Were there any things that you picked up at this truck with this track, or anything specific that you might want to use in the race?
It's the setup's kind of weird. The steering offset's strange, and it kind of feels like almost like a competitive Road to Pro set or something like that. Like it's it's very, very hooked up. So for the first few laps of the run, we'll be right up on top of each other. I mean, it will be drafting and picking the lane that's rolling and going forward with it. But it's strange because it goes from drafting for a few laps to, kind of the typical intermediate racing, and then on the long run, it will get spread out, and drivers will be fighting a thing. It'll be sideways. They'll be lifting, which is exactly how I like it. So it kind of, the setup goes through all of the different characteristics of a typical truck setup, just all in one throughout one tire run, which is kind of strange. It's not one way or the other. It just changes a bunch.
Well, nonetheless, I know there's probably memories still present. Last time you raced the truck at a 1.5 mile, you were hosting the Bob Jenkins Trophy. So, Presley, best of luck tonight in this final race of the round of 8. There it is, right there in the background. Nice to see it. But we wish you the best of luck, Presley, all in this race from the round of 8. And we hopefully see you on the racetrack, and hopefully you do well.
Alrighty, thank you.
So that is Presley Sora, your defending series champion. And you talk about pressure, there may be some of that for the defending champion to get back to Homestead Miami Speedway and lift the trophy once again. We've got a driver on the opposite end of that, one spot above Presley Sora in the point standings coming into Chicagoland. That is rookie phenom Joey Padgett, who's joined with Jacob Hitz.
And there's no doubt about him being a phenom, and he is a rookie. And if you look at his season, he's been fast, he's been consistent, but he has not gone to victory lane. One of the few remaining drivers in the playoffs, Kenneth, that has not won a race. Had to point his way in, and he stays alive today. 6 points above the cut line. Been consistent all year. What would it be like to get your first win here to knock yourself into the championship 4?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's the plan. We've had a couple shots, especially earlier in the year. We led to the line twice, and I feel like we should have had them, but I kind of was on the conservative side with that and didn't really push the issue. But it's go time now, and I think we're gonna show them what we got.
What's it like? Obviously, you've had a couple of rookies in the playoffs this year. Corey Heim is one. Chase Cabry is another. What's it like racing for a championship in your rookie season?
Oh, it's fun. Absolutely. Chase is a rookie too. I'm a rookie. It's just funny to see how fast we were just right out the gate. So I'm excited. I love racing those guys. Corey, Cabot, Sora. They're all fun to race. So I'm excited.
Let's talk about this racetrack for a little bit. It's hot. It's slick. But it's also fast. How do you balance the truck being out of control while also making sure you still have enough speed to maintain with the leaders?
Yeah, absolutely. You can definitely save a lot here, but keeping up momentum is definitely going to be the hardest thing, and maximizing how much you're actually, if you're coming all the way off the throttle or just keeping like 20-30% maintenance, and that kind of plays a role in how quick you're going to fall off. So I think we're going to see. I definitely want to be up front, though, because the air, like fifth and back, I'm projecting is going to be awful.
How about strategy? There's the chance that this race could go green for a long period of time. Are you prepared for any sort of green flag pit stops? And if so, what could we maybe see you expect? I'm not asking for the big juicy details, but you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah, no, prepared for anything. I think y'all have seen a lot of times this year. I've done about 3 or 4 races not taking tires ever. Obviously, that's not going to be the case today, but I'm not scared to stretch it or go early if I need to.
Well, Joey, best of luck here tonight, and perhaps we'll see you as part of our championship for next week. Nonetheless, best of luck, and we'll see you at the end of the night.
All righty. Hopefully, talk to y'all later.
That's Joey Padgett, who right now in practice sits P8 on the speed chart, 6 points above the cut line, looking to go to victory lane for the first time this season. And just a reminder, Kenneth, I don't know if we've touched on this, the last 2 Monday Night Racing champions have been rookies. Adam Cabot, technically speaking at least, I know he ran some races in Season 3, but for the most part, new to the series in Season 4, won the championship. Presley Sora in Season 5, same deal. There's the potential that we have 3 rookies fighting for a championship next week if Hyman Padgett can hang on inside the top 4.
Yeah, that is very big. And Paget, Cabri, Heim, all of them very stout in their own ways. So we'll watch those yellow banner trucks on the back end of them as we go into Chicagoland Speedway tonight. And speaking of which, Jacob, you mentioned it. It's more like one big turn, this 1.5 miler out in Joliet, Illinois. But if there's one thing to know about this Chicagoland Speedway in general, even though it's not raced in NASCAR competition in real life right now, it is regarded as an all-time classic venue.
This track put on a couple of bangers as far as races are concerned before it was taken off the schedule. And is it disappointing that it's no longer on the NASCAR schedule? Absolutely, but thankfully it's preserved here on iRacing, and we get to enjoy this racetrack and share that with you here tonight. The turn's banked 18 degrees. The front straightaway tri-oval has a little banking to it as well. But the fact that, look, it's pretty much a circle more than it is an oval. The back straightaway has a bit of a curve to it. It is not straight. The front straightaway, obviously, since it's a tri-oval, not straight as well. You are turning left a lot around the racetrack, and Kenneth, that means you're going to be looking at abusing that right front tire just a little bit more. Now, if it's loose, you're going to be leaning on that right rear a little bit, and then you're going to be using up both right side tires.
Well, the last time, or one of the last times we were at a 1.5 miler with the trucks, it was at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. That track as hot as it could ever be. We saw a lot of drivers on both ends of the spectrum. Also to note, second time we're here at Chicagoland Speedway, rather the third time we're here at Chicagoland Speedway in series history. Why don't we look at our feature matchups presented by Grid Rival. Presley Sora, Corey Heim going at it with each other on the versus chart. Negative 110 for both of them. Of course, Heim already locked in with the great win he picked up at Pocono just 1 week prior. Sora looking to point his way in. Bailey Turner, Sage Karam, though, Jacob, I really like this battle between Turner, who did such a great job at Pocono, Karam, who had an unbelievable save, if not one, but two amazing saves last week. Ronnie Osmer, Steve O'Font, and Ford Martin, Stephen Ellis on the other side.
Really interested to look at that Turner and Karam matchup. You know, Karam is known for being on the open wheel side of things, but now in the NASCAR world last year, working with Alpha Prime and getting some Xfinity runs together. That's a really interesting matchup. I don't know if Karam has run here before on the sim. I would think not in real life since NASCAR stopped going here before he came into the series. But Bailey Turner is another one of those guys, Kenneth, that is fast everywhere we go and always has a chance to go to victory lane. I would not rule him out here to have a shot to go to victory lane just because, like I said, he has been fast just about everywhere. It doesn't matter what racetrack or what car, that 5 is going to be fast and going to be at the front.
You talk about what happened to him last week, short of the race win. He's going to have a lot of that redemption on his mind. And Turner, a very consistent driver. We could see him be that spoiler. Here's a look at our race winner odds. And obviously, no surprise, Adam Cabot is at the front. He is one of the winners of the last times we were at a 1.5 miler with the trucks. That was at Las Vegas, and that was also in a playoff context. So you can also think about that. 17 at the top, Corey Heim and Chase Caber to round out your top 3. And then you look at everybody else lining up all the way to the bottom. So just a couple of moments before we wave the green flag in Joliet, Illinois for the Next Level Racing 120. Don't go anywhere. We've got more on the other side for the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries, live on Podium Esports.
FrontStretch.com, providing up-to-date news, analysis, and commentary on all the latest in the world of motorsports. Check out Front Stretch YouTube page for post-race content after the checkered flag waves for most NASCAR events, giving you up-close interviews with your favorite drivers and the stories that matter each weekend. For the best seat of the track and the best view on the web, visit FrontStretch.com.
This is an Interstate battery. More pros trust this than any other out there. Yeah, more pros. More. Even more pros. Keep going, Moss. Look, we're gonna run out of time before we run out of pros who like Interstate. I mean, we'll run out of time before we even run out of left-handed pros who knit. These pros are everywhere, which means so is this battery. Right around the corner, up the street, everywhere. Interstate batteries, outrageously dependable.
Visit our website at toughgoflooring.com.
Ready to decide the championship 4 that are going to Homestead Miami Speedway before we wave the checkered flag here for the next level racing 120 at the Chicagoland Speedway here for the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. Jacob, I know we don't have Blake McCandless and Eric Estep. Obviously, we have a lot more air to fill in the broadcast booth, but Blake McCandless, Eric Estep going with their picks, and we are as well. We're still fighting to catch up with you, Jacob. I know you've kind of pulled away with the points lead, but we're all in a dead heat battle for second. Chase Cavery going to be on Blake McCandless's pick. I picked him last week, didn't go to victory lane at the Tricky Triangle, but I think definitely you could always go with Chase Cavery any given week just because of his diversity, how good he is at every single track. Eric Estep is going, I think, with a classic Jacob. Colin Fern, winner at the semifinal race. Last time we had one in season 6 to get his way into the championship 4. Obviously not the case this time around, but he can win a clutch race if needed. But you're going with the 17 of Adam Cabot. Very interesting choices. He's lining up the qualifying charts on pole as we stand.
All by design, I'm sure. I was surprised when I looked through that I picked him for the Daytona Road Course this year, not for a mile and a half. This guy is built to run the mile and a halves. I know he loves running them. He's done well here in the past. That's what's helped gotten him to the championship level here at M&R. That's what got him a championship in Season 4 and had him in contention at the end of Season 5. Adam Cabot gets it done tonight. Statement win. I know I said I wouldn't be surprised if a non-playoff driver wins tonight. Number 17 is the exception. Adam Cabot gets it done, and he is part of your championship 4 at Homestead, where I think he might enter, Kenneth, as the favorite.
That's definitely true, and it's definitely not a bad pick. If he gets into the championship 4 with a win here tonight, or even if he points his way in, he'll have a third M&R championship 4 appearance ever since starting the season back in season number 3. I'm going to go with Charlotte Phoenix's own James Bickford. I remember Las Vegas with the trucks, also a playoff race. Bickford showed a lot of speed, and while he wasn't the most dominant truck on the track all night, he provided some great battles. He was very quick, very consistent, and also not afraid to try different lanes. So watch that 29 of James Bickford in his Toyota Tundra TRD Pro. Might put up a show, might put up a win as well. We'll head down trackside and give you your BST Shock starting grid and the Roasted Gems Coffee Pole Award winner going to Jacob Hitz's pick, Adam Cabot in the number 17, looking to win his way into the championship 4. He will have my pick, James Bickford, on the outside for Charlotte Phoenix, the first 2 that will see the green flag. Corey Heim has no worries going into this race. He's already locked into the championship event, but he still puts up a time good enough for third. He'll have David Schildhaus alongside in row number 2. Rookie driver Joey Padgett lines up the inside of the top 5. Chase Cavery will be alongside him in P6, followed by Presley Sora. A lot of pressure on his shoulders for the Rise Esports driver to get over the cut line. Garrett Smithley on the outside in P8. Final 2 drivers inside your top 10 include Gary Sexton in the 13 and a great qualifying effort, Jacob Hitz, by Michael Fisher, last driver to qualify in the top 10.
And he's been sneaky fast this year at a couple of racetracks down the stretch. Colin Fern, who we mentioned was Eric's pick tonight, he rolls off P11. Another former playoff driver next to him, and Nick Olson in the 24. He starts 12th. Justin Malillo was so close here 2 seasons ago of making it into the playoffs. He was 1 spot short coming off turn 4. He starts 13th tonight. He's pretty strong here. Matt Stolnick trying to win his way into the championship 4, and it's pretty much his only option. He starts 14th. Preston Partis and Brandon Brown make up row number 8. Anthony Alfredo had many connection issues to start the season. Missed out on the playoffs, but he's back here for the end of it. He rolls off 17th. And Ryan Vargas, 10 points behind the cut line, rolls off from the 18th spot. Rounding out the top 20, Brett Baldeck, 44, and George Belfans Jr. in the 94. Rounding out your top 20, Kenneth.
Will Rogers in the 7 starts 21st. Lane Sabile starts deep in this field. He's one of those drivers looking to overcome that cut line deficit. Robbie Lyons is 23rd. Joshua Slade on the outside in 24th. Before you find Ford Martin in the 07 inside the top 25. And Max Kennan on his outside in row number 13. Jordan Buster in the 47 is 27th. When we drop the green, Ronnie Osborne will be alongside in P28. DJ Cummings and Paley Turner 29th and 30th on the grid to round out your top 15 rows. Then goes Devin Henry into 77. Stephen Ellis in the number 46, 32nd on the racetrack. Chris Weber 33rd. Mark Ribelis alongside in 34th. Those are the last drivers to take time in qualifying. The 2 that'll bring up the rear of the field, 35th and 36th. Case Collimack, the 84, and Steve Font in the 11. So we'll take a look at our race analysis, Jacob, before we go green for the next level racing 120. And the 120 says it all. 120 laps, 180 miles. But the biggest thing to note, Jacob, is those 4 sets of tires on pit road. This track will eat them up like no other. So you really got to watch the strategy books, especially since we're going this long.
Not quite at Darlington, not quite at Auto Club where it's more of a cheese grater, not quite at Old Atlanta either, but you're right. Your tire's going to get eaten alive here pretty quick, especially with how hot the racetrack is. Your track temp right now, 127 degrees. Your air temp maxed out at 90. It is hot. It is humid. The track is slick, and these drivers are going to be feeling that throughout this race. If they push too far, they're going to find themselves in trouble later on in a green flag run, if we have one. And we'll see what they do, depending on when the cautions fall, as to when they pit, whether they decide to take tires, and it could come down to somebody has an extra set of tires at the end of this race if we have a late yellow. We've seen it here in M&R before.
Track is very hot. I'm sure the attendees in the virtual Miller Lite Suite in turn 1 are going to need some fans out there because it is very hot. These drivers are going to deal with the very hot weather here in Illinois, and we have the hotness of the playoff complications in the mix as well. With the 17, the 29, Adam Cabot, James Bigford will line up out of turn 4. Pace car makes its way to the entrance of pit road. Barney the flagman has the green. We're underway in the final race of the round of 8 and that next level racing 120. Clean through lap number 1. High made a huge slide in front of James Bigford entering the first corner on the first lap. Takes over second. They're roughly 3 wide in the back of the field. But for right now, everybody single files out behind that roaring number 17. The field makes its way to the curved back straightaway. Most of your top 10 all single file back to turn 3.
A lot of good racing amongst the playoff drivers, and these playoff drivers that are outside the cut line. Leighton Sabile is already up 5 spots since the drop of the green flag after starting back around 20th. He is marching his way to the front, just past Justin Malillo around the outside. He is 16th. He has the 94 in front of him, as well as Nick Olson. He's got the 12 of Brandon Brown as well, and he'll go to the inside of Bell fans. That 25, we know how fast Sabile can be, but we also know he's really aggressive at using those tires. Could find himself in some trouble early on.
Well, how many times have we seen it, Jacob? That number 25 is Sabile. When you think about the Xfinity cars at Legacy, Texas, even the trucks at Las Vegas last season, he was whipping that car or truck sideways, and right in front of it, Ryan Vargas almost had a sideways moment himself, almost about had contact with the 94 of George Balfans Jr. It's getting rather hairy around your top 15. Vargas going to be able to hold the 15th spot for now. It's getting very sketchy already. Last thing you want to do, Jacob, is put yourself in a rough position like that. Vargas, though, we got a nice run out of turn 2. We'll move up to 14th, maybe 13th before turn 3.
Well, and I know that Vargas has had a lot of rotten luck here in M&R this season, but he's been able to get himself this far. Just needs a little bit more to get him to the finish line. We ride on board with Joey Padgett in the 7th spot right now. Take a look at those points as well. Sora, the first car out, only by 5, so he's gained 1 point since the drop of the green flag. Vargas has lost a couple, and Sabile and Stalnick, they need a lot of things to shake up here.
And you look at those drivers, minus 31, minus 32, the 25 and the 41, both of them suffering big time at Pocono just 1 week prior. You reckon, obviously, they're going to need a race win here at Chicagoland if they even want to have a chance at making it into the championship for next week. But Padgett slowly moving inside your top 10. That 41 just kind of following him in his tracks to turn 1. So we'll see exactly what these drivers do. They'll even out Sabile and Stalnick at minus 30. But Adam Cabot has since pulled away from the field by roughly a second. You talk about Corey High making that move in turn 1 to get around James Bigford. Schildhouse also found a way around that 29. So Bigford back to 4th. But all in all, Jacob, they're letting that 17 pull away and trying to do exactly what he did at Las Vegas last season.
And you're going to see Bigford. He's got playoff banners on his car. Those are from last season. He's not in the playoffs, but Schildhouse has his off, at least from last season to this season. But if you see a green spoiler and a green banner, there's a good chance they're in the playoffs. You may want to go over and make sure that they've at least got a green name as well on the scoreboard. But you're absolutely right about Corey Heim being strong so far this season, has a couple of wins. And this is what we expected, I think, from him last year. You know, coming in a part-time deal, winning a couple of races. He wasn't eligible for the playoffs because he didn't make enough starts. So we all kind of knew that Corey Heim was going to be good this season. We weren't quite sure how good. And right now, he's already, you know, doing good things here.
And at 51 of Heim, obviously, like you said, race. It was the Xfinity cars at Charlotte back in season 5. We already knew he was going to be a pillar to be watching, and Heim could play a big factor into this because he's locked in to the championship 4 already. He can manipulate how the points will favor and exactly who he wants to go up against, because obviously the 17 up in front, if he stays up in front, he's going to win, and maybe the 51 won't mind that. But let's say if things change, strategy goes awry, points change, positions change, and 51 could play a factor, force those other guys into a tough spot to try and get into next week's championship event. Here's a look on board with the number 7 of Will Rogers, already up to 14th from his starting spot of 21st. He's in a nice battle with Brandon Brown for Lockdown Racing and his Toyota Tundra TRD Pro. And then right behind all of this, the 25, Lane Sabile, we've been talking about, who Jacob has been experimenting with the lines of it here at Chicagoland Speedway. You'd reckon by now, lap 10, lap 15, lap 20, that right front or the right rear will start to wear out a little bit. So maybe you'd want to look for A, clean air, and B, just good runs out of the corners to save your tires.
Yeah, if you're killing the tires, you're going to start to notice as this run goes on. And I realized that I've had Chase Capri winning last week, forgetting that Corey Heim won last week. So Heim's the one locked in. Capri's the one that's at least on the line. That's where I was like a loss for words as I'm talking about Corey Heim. Like, no, wait a second. It shows he's already locked in. Duh, because he won last week. Somebody was paying attention, I'm sure. But Corey Heim, again, I'll go back to him for just a second. We'll start to see him now, I think, reel in Adam Cabot a little bit. Last time by, 0.2 a lap faster. We'll see what it is here this time by. But I also wonder how much David Schildhaus is helping that effort, since Schildhaus is all over the tailgate of that 51 right now.
And he's not making a move either. That's a big thing. If you want to catch a driver, the worst thing to do is go side by side. And Schildhaus has a lot of pace for sure to get around Heim in his race EPI in number 51 Toyota Tundra. But looks like the 20 just going to back out for now. Going to stay in third and going to help the efforts here. 0.7 of a second now and closing. The lap times are in favor of the 51, but Schildhaus gets a little loose out of turn 4. And that's one thing as well to watch for as we enter a long run, Jacob. This truck is so severely different from the other higher levels of NASCAR competition. You look at the B car, which is known as the Xfinity Series car. You've got more power underneath the hood, way less downforce. And then you look at the Cup car of 2023. It's obviously got a little more downforce, but it is still with a lot of power underneath the hood. You still have to drive the thing. It's very on edge. This truck, though, easily savable, has a lot of downforce, doesn't have as much power, and in the opening laps of a run, you are going 100% full throttle. So you really have to be patient, have some discipline between how much throttle you're using in the corners on an opening run, and then, of course, how long that run lasts, because you don't want to be loose and you don't want to be understeered to the point where you're in the outside wall.
Right, you don't want to kill your stuff. And I think the move with Schildhaus here is smart. He's pushing Corey Heim. He's staying in his draft. That's how they're catching Cabot, because if you notice, they were all drafting from each other the first 5 laps, and Cabot was spanking them, pulling away. Now they've gotten the draft a little more organized here between these top 2. They're starting to reel in Cabot, who's all the way out in front. And I think Schildhaus, he may try and make a move once they catch that 17. For the time being, he's going to stay right up behind that 51 and get him close to the lead.
We'll watch if the 51 of Heim or even the 20 of Schildhaus can make a move on Adam Cabot, or whether the defense is good enough for the 17 to hold out on the race lead. You were looking at the Cambridge City, Indiana native. That is Presley Sora, the driver who we talked about in our pre-race, and we talked to in our pre-race segment here at the opening start. And Sora now to -2, -2 on the points tally to Joey Padgett, who currently is in P9 right now, looking behind the 41 of Matt Stallneck, heading for turn 1. So there is good news there. If you're the 98 of Presley Sora and Jacob, to say that Sora was definitely one of the strongest cars at Pocono is an understatement. He was potentially in a possible spot to win at one point and then got taken out, got into a crash in turn 2. And then it pretty much just sailed downwards from there and got put into more incidents near the later portions of the race. That's why he's in that deficit. And you have to imagine it's hurt the mentality a little bit, it's hurt that pride, but the 98 is working towards it. And this is only a good step in the right direction over the first 17 laps.
Well, and it's a position that Presley Sora really hasn't been in MNR in his career, being down and out and having to rebound and get himself in. You know, he was able to get himself, point himself in last season, had a couple of wins to initially lock him in, and then those wins kind of propelled him all the way to the end of the season, and it was the points advantage that he had from being high atop the standings that allowed him to hold on over Anthony Alfredo coming to the checkered flag. So this is the comeback kid now. He has to come from, you know, being down and out. I know 6 points isn't a lot, but it can be tough to make those 6 points up when it's a guy in front of you that is so consistent wherever we go in Joey Padgett. Now, Padgett hasn't moved from where he started. He's still P9. Sora's moved himself up into the top 5. So if Padgett can close the gap a little bit, he's got more spots to gain. That'll hurt Presley, but Sora's also closer to the lead and showing that he has pretty good pace right about now.
Definitely true. Here's a look on board from a very interesting paint scheme on board the number 83 of Joey Padgett for Team Joyride. Him and Reed Wilson have been very consistent over the past couple of weeks. A Yummy Universe car with I think that's a narwhal on the front of his Toyota Tundra TRD Pro. So a very colorful truck this evening. He's going to look to take those colors to victory lane and hopefully into the championship 4. And there's another colorful truck right behind him, Jacob Hitz. And obviously, we love to talk about this because the Podium 500 is coming up this weekend on Sunday. And we definitely love the Podium 500 here at Podium Esports. It's a huge event that we get to put on every single year. Every driver from every type of skill level, whether it be Coke Series drivers to even just rookie drivers, getting to the sim at Daytona with the next-gen cars and being able to try and qualify their way in through heats and LCQs, then of course through the duels, and then on to the main event. But Joey Padgett right in front of him, the driver we're talking about, currently P9 on the racetrack as it stands. We're watching though, Jacob, they're catching Adam Cabot. The 51 is there. Now the question is, does he make the move and how does he do it?
Well, he's doing the right thing by looking around for different lines, trying to find a faster way around Adam Cabot. If you stay right behind him, you're going to get a lot of the dirty air, but you saw the outside really worked for Heim coming down the back straightaway. He'll go to the inside here in turn number 3. Cabot's going to give him the spot. We'll see how much of a run Cabot gets on the high side coming up off the corner. That'll allow Schildhaus to get back in, catch these guys, because Schildhaus really fell back after Heim got the draft of Adam Cabot, started to distance himself a little bit, still side by side for position 1 back to turn 1.
And this is really the first time the 17 has to go for that third lane near the outside wall. He's been holding the bottom all race long and now is forced up top. He gets a big run out of turn 2, but it's not going to be enough to shake off the 51. Heim down low. Schildhaus catching up. Might be the non-playoff spoiler in all of it, but Corey Heim maintaining down low. Like it's super tight and very close out of turn 4. And Cabot looks to lead this lap. Heim still trying to fight back to the first corner.
These turns narrow up, especially coming off turn 4. Turn 2, it's kind of gradual and it gets a little narrow. Turn 4, it's pretty abrupt, so it could get dicey if you're side by side coming up off the corner on worn tires. But not a worry for Corey Heim. He'll take the lead, tries to block. Here comes Cabot back to the inside. And you see Schildhaus, he's pulled him in a little bit, down to just 0.2 of a second. Cabot will try the bottom. Let's see if Heim can get a run up on that high side like Cabot's been able to do. Looks like he will. Little bit of a slip from Cabot on the bottom of the racetrack. And new leader, car 51.
Corey Heim in front. The next level racing 120. Here's a look on board from the third driver in line, David Schildhaus. He had a nice time catching up to these two while they were going side by side. But another driver also catching up behind this group is Presley Sora in the number 98. This is good news for Sora. He's now 1 point beneath that cut line, and 2, the 83 of Joey Padgett, who's still in P9 but has struggled to get around the 41 of Matt Stolnick. So Sora, who has moved up to this 4th place position, now has a lot of hunting ground to make up. But if these guys continue to go side by side in battle, Sora might make it a quartet before it's all said and done.
There's no doubt about it. You know he's going to be aggressive. No matter what the point situation is, whether he's in, whether he's out, he's going to give it everything he's got. And we'll see what he decides to pull, if he can catch these guys. But he doesn't have any draft like Showhouse was able to use to push Heim toward the front. He's really on an island right now. He's about 6/10 behind Showhouse and about 6/10 in front of Chase Capri, who's behind him, who just got by James Bickford.
And also, I was about to say, James Bickford has fallen back to 6. He started on the outside of the front row. It looks like he struggled on his tires with his Toyota Tundra TRD Pro, and so Cabry will go by. He'll take the last spot in the top 5, and that'll make it a single file train all the way back to, I'd say, P11. Gary Sexton and Will Rogers going at it side by side. They're also catching Joey Padgett, who has dropped to P10, so that evens out the 83 and the 98 in terms of the last spot for the championship 4. That is only good news for Presley Sora, escalating here as he edges closer to your top 3. He'll use the outside lane as of lap number 27. And there's a look at the rest of the playoff standings as it formulates with the 41 to 25. Still very far behind the 8 ball. Sabile running 14th, Stallneck running P8.
Yeah, the playoff guys that really need to perform. I mean, Vargas and Sabile are battling each other right now with Gary Sexton. That's 12th on back. These 3 right here, and oh boy, look out, 3 wide, both cars, but 2 of the 3 trucks slipping and sliding up off the corner. And I'm sure the only guy that's not having fun is Ryan Vargas. He wants to get as far away from that as possible. He doesn't want anything to happen to his truck. He wants that Lyricus car to be looking good now and looking good later. And he's had an issue, not of his own doing, of keeping that thing clean all season long. He just needs to put together a race. That's all he's got to do. He's still 12 points out, though. He's going to need some mistakes from the drivers in front of him, the playoff guys in front of him specifically, in order to have a shot.
But if there's one thing about the La Mirada California native, though, Jacob, is that he's not afraid of these big moments. Not afraid of the clutch ones either, because remember, a couple of seasons back, we had a semifinal race. Nashville Super Speedway, the Super Late Models. Ryan Vargas went out and won that race by extraordinary fashion to the start-finish line, coming out of turn 4 in a late race restart. So Ryan Vargas is running 12th right now. Sure, he's 12 points below the cut line, but you have to watch that 26 later on in tonight's race. He might put up a show as Lane Sabile backs out. It looks like Sabile might be slowing down for pit road, and Jacob, he is the 25, adorning the playoff banners on the top of the windshield. Looks like we'll be the only driver to head for pit road this time by. I think Ronnie Osborne going to find his way in as well. He'll miss the entrance, and I'm not sure if that'll be a penalty. It might just be for the 55 of Ronnie Osborne. I think that's Ford Martin in the 07 to follow, but Sabile, the first out of the playoff group to strike for pit road.
Interesting. I didn't think they'd pit this early. Josh Slate pitted a couple laps prior to this, and that was an unscheduled stop. He had some damage to the right side of his car. Heard somebody else say that they're coming to pit road. Bailey Turner is coming in this time. That's who it was. Surprised a little bit, I think, to see these guys pitting, and Bailey Turner's actually looped it on the entrance to pit road. And Adam Cabot, currently P2, he's going to be pitting this time by. Sounds like playoff contender Chase Cabry is going to follow him to the pit lane, as well as Ryan Vargas. So we're in the window here, and we're looking at this point in time at a 4-stop race. So they're going to be using all 4 sets. There is no way Cabot. How did he not speed?
Wow, unbelievable. He locks up the brakes and is able to make the 50-mile-per-hour pit road speed limit. You mentioned a couple of the other drivers to follow. Chase Cabry, I know Anthony Alfredo, Max Kennan in as well, Michael Fisher in the 96. So all of them coming in. It's a waiting game here for Corey Heim, David Schildhouse, all these other guys who have stayed out to this point. Looks like the 51 going to hop on the brakes. He'll make that transition to the apron. He'll slide the Toyota Tundra. Can he make it? I think he will. By the skin of his teeth, David Schildhouse is going to stay out an extra lap, so he'll assume the lead. But it looks like, for now, the 51 unharmed, and he'll bring a couple of more playoff drivers with him.
Well, here's the thing, Kenneth. Sora missed the cone, but did not get a black flag. He does not have a black flag, but he absolutely whiffed on the cone. Really interesting there. I don't know if it's because somebody else hit it, and so it wasn't there, or what. But we'll see if Sora, if they drop the Jackson, he'll be good to go, or what the deal is. You'll see the onboard here, him trying to come to pit lane. There's the cone, And he goes around it. And Sora is still sitting in the box. I wonder if maybe Sora got a black flag or has a penalty and it's not considered a black flag, because he is chilling in the pit box right now, not going anywhere, and he didn't have any damage. Huge for Presley Sora.
That's 35 seconds and counting for the 98 of Presley Sora. There's another playoff driver, the one he's fighting for with that cut line right in front of him. Joey Padgett taking 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles. Race leader David Schildhaus is in, so after a couple of loose laps at 20, is finally heading for pit road. That'll hand the lead over to the number 13 of Gary Sexton, who's, by the way, in a great battle for the race lead with Nick Olsen and Colin Fern second and third. But of course, that is huge, Jacob, for the driver of the 98. Those couple of points, so important to get over the hump heading for Homestead Miami Speedway. The pressure was on, just makes that slight mistake, entering a difficult Chicagoland pit road entrance. And there it is. That might put him more than a lap down.
Minus 26 and counting, a 40-second hold in the pit box for that. And look, if a caution were to come out now, he would not get the free pass. If a caution were to come out soon, I think he would be the free pass. Josh Slayton is the only one I'm a little confused on, because, as I mentioned, he pitted earlier. He is currently a lap down. But we'll see once everything cycles out. And Sora, Ronnie Osmer are on the same lap, and one car out of the race already, Preston Pardis. So right now, Sora sits 34th. He is in the danger zone right about now.
Yeah, look at the danger zone right here. Your top 3, Nick Olsen, Colin Fern, Gary Sexton heading for pit.
Oh, there's Fern!
Around in front of Nick Olsen. He'll save it before he gets to the inside wall. I'm not sure whether that will be a penalty assessed to Fern this time through, but that was big for James Bigford and Ryan Vargas. They were on fresh tires going around, and all of a sudden they almost rammed into the rear end of those 3 that had stayed out up until this point.
I think he'll be okay. Meanwhile, that's your race leader, Justin Malillo in the traction truck, and he'll be pitting this time by. And that'll give the lead actually here. How about this? Leighton Sabile pitting early, worked. He's got only 0.3 of a second over Adam Cabot, but Leighton Sabile jumps 12 spots, and he's your race leader after pit stops.
And the miraculous thing is that it's only roughly 2 laps. Obviously, that can make a difference, but it isn't as big as you'd expect with Sabile pitting so early. And the alternative call works for now. Sabile, again, in a situation like Matt Stallnick, a must-win, you have to do something different from all of the other playoff favorites to try and make yourself known, get into that championship race. And so this call by Sabile by lap 38 might be the one that pays off. Caution could definitely help as well. That 25 rolling out front. 17 of Cabot, not too far behind though. We'll see if the 17 can make a move.
I don't know. He may be content in just riding around behind Sabile, because a Sabile win, what does it do? It knocks out Padgett, who's a really strong contender. I think Cabot could be okay with this. Now, he has to hold where he's at because he's only 5 points to the good. But I think he would be okay with an underdog taking the win here, solely because it opens up the window. Then you have a little less competition going into Homestead next week for the championship.
And a matter for the driver of the 25 who stays out in the front of this race. Adam Cabot, though, trying to catch Corey Heim, that third car in the background, third truck rather in the background. So obviously this is far from over. Lap number 40 of 120, still 80 laps to go from Chicagoland Speedway. Well, we'll let you know just quickly that coverage of the Next Level Racing 120 from Chicagoland is brought to you by Next Level Racing, which is a proud partner with Monday Night Racing. Founded in 2009, Next Level Racing is the world's leading simulation brand, revolutionizing simulation racing with its industry-leading product range. You can visit nextlevelracing.com for more information to get some of them today. And we talk about Next Level Racing being a very close partner with Monday Night Racing as of late. And I was watching the last race, Las Vegas, with the trucks, and I think around that time, it had still been pretty soon when M&R made that partnership call with Next Level Racing. And Jacob, we got a pair of chairs ourselves. Blake McCandless also has one. We've built ours. Now I've got mine, and I've got mine too. It's a very comfortable chair, suede and leather, a beautiful gaming piece of hardware, and it's a lot of fun to build. Number one, I had a lot of fun building it, but it's definitely great to sit in, and a very good chair at the desk.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, that is, it is so nice sitting in this thing. It's a lot more comfortable than any other chair that I've owned. It's a breeze to commentate from, and it makes some of those longer races, you know, like the Podium 500, makes those longer races a lot easier to sit through when your rear end's not hurting from sitting down for so long. As here comes Corey Heim around the outside, and Cabot's going to try and maybe follow him with the draft. We'll see if this works. So far, so good for car 51. Cabot to the inside for second.
And Sabile tried to block entering turn 3 before the back straightaway. The 17 is going to go to the inside, but Sabile pulling a smart move, going to try and pinch Cabot down low, stall his progress to get up to the 51. Because remember, Heim is locked in. Him winning another race won't do anything for the point standings, but the 25, if he can prevent the 17 from changing up the complications, and for Sabile, this will matter. And he's holding still, Jacob, despite the 17 having fresher tires. Sabile is holding his own on that second lane.
And I think it's just because Cabot's taking it easy. He doesn't want to abuse his stuff. He doesn't want to over-race somebody that's on older tires. He's just going to let it come to him. And if Cabot, or rather if Heim starts to pull away, no big deal, because Heim already has a win. He's already locked in, so it doesn't do any damage to the people behind Cabot. But looks like Cabot will take away that second spot here. We'll be curious to see, though, if the move by Sabile could work. The only problem is that he's opening himself up on that last run as a target, because he's going to be on the older tires. He's going to need to make them stretch somehow before we get to that last pit stop, which will more than likely be around lap 90 or so.
And that brings you 30 laps to the checkered flag, and that's a substantial run. And as this race has gone on, green flag, if you anticipate it's going to stay that way for the rest of the race, then it's going to be tough for Sabile, no doubt about it. And you are right. We'll look at the point standings as it looks right now, and the first driver out, Ryan Vargas, is -6 points out. We talked about the 98 of Presley Sora being there for so long. Now with Sora's penalty pushing him a couple of laps down, Vargas is next in line, P8, and obviously a very exciting past couple of months for Ryan Vargas. Announced a new truck series partnership in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series season for 2023 with On Point Motorsports. That's why he's adorning the Leargas Toyota Tundra TRD Bro this evening in the number 26. A very great partnership with Vargas, and obviously excited to see him on track in real life in 2023. Here's a look at James Bickford, a little bit further behind where the 26 sits right now, but this is big for Vargas. -6 here, and he's got a nice target with Joey Padgett sitting 12th behind him, so this is good progress for the 26.
And don't forget about Vargas, too. He's going to be in the Xfinity Series for much of this year with the Mike Harmon team driving that 74 as one of their lead drivers. So a lot of good things coming to Ryan Vargas this season, and he's got a lot of sponsorship to help get him there. Can't wait to see how things will turn out. But you see, he's -6 right now, as we talked about. And Joey Padgett's kind of fallen back a little bit here. He's now down to P12. Anthony Alfredo is a little ways behind him, so Vargas is going to need more help, I think, from Padgett losing spots than Vargas gaining spots, because Vargas is going to have to be second at this point in order to be tied, which at that point just go for the win anyway. So Vargas has to look for that 83 to have himself a bit of trouble to comfortably get him in a position where he could stop thinking about points.
You have to ask as well for the 83 of Padgett, who's been somewhat up and down through the midst of the top 10, and you've been sitting right there on the cut line and having multiple drivers get very close to you, single digits in points. Is there anything that you have to change behind the wheel as this race has gone green?
I mean, you may have to start changing lines a little bit more, you know, but if you don't have it figured out by halfway, it's going to be a very long night, I think. Just because, you know, there's only so much time in this race, and the way these guys have been racing, you cannot bet on a caution flag. You know, we made it through that longer green flag run without any sort of issues, so I think if you don't have it figured out in the next 10 laps, it's going to be a very long night for you, and that's, you know, that's looking at somebody like Matt Stolnick, who right now is down Actually, he's actually up inside the top 10. It's just he was that far behind coming in that, you know, again, he's really in a must-win scenario. And a good run from the 41 isn't good enough. It has to be picture perfect.
It has to be that checkered flag in hand. Speaking of good runs, there's a driver that we're on board with right now that is having a very good run from Chicagoland Speedway. That is the 96 of Michael Fisher, one of the newcomers to Season 6 of the Monday Night Racing Post Series presented by Interstate Batteries. And we've seen this 96, Jacob, put up a lot of great runs. I think him, Reed Wilson, I've seen it as the two top drivers that are non-playoff competitors that have been so quick week in, week out, especially in the second half of the regular season and even going into the playoffs. They have been having so much fun at the front of the field, and they've been putting great runs, getting a lot of TV time, obviously, but definitely putting up runs worthy of note for the competition because they're seeing these guys playing a factor into the playoff mix. And guys like Michael Fisher, as consistent as he is right now, even though he's not in the playoffs, you can imagine maybe next season he turns up the fire, goes for a championship, and might just be a force to be reckoned with. Same deal with Reed Wilson and a bunch of the other rookies we've seen in this series.
Well, and for Michael Fisher, he's had a really hot and cold rookie season. Had a good run going last week at Pocono. He's had some good runs throughout the season, just hasn't quite been able to capitalize on them and finish maybe where he should. So we'll see how this plans out the rest of the way. But right now, car 96 looking pretty good up inside the top 10.
P6 right now looking to catch up to Chase Cabrey. And actually, as a matter of fact, Fisher put up a faster lap than Chase Cabrey when they crossed the stripe at lap number 52 or 453. Although James Bickford is hunting on the rear bumper of Fisher for now. So we'll keep an eye on Fisher and where he stands as of the moment. Current top 10, it looks to be roughly 4 non-playoff drivers. Everybody else with the green banners atop the windshields, the green spoilers, and the green splitters. That's how you can identify the playoff competition, the green names as well on the left side of your screen. No big changes through the front of the field. It is Corey Heim. Adam Cabot follows suit in second. David Schildhouse has moved his way up to third, so roughly the same top 3 before we had pit stops. Lane Sabile looks to make this call work on the older tires in the field. He is P4. Chase Cabrey, as we talked about, last driver in the top 5, and then this first battle around P6 between James Bickford and Michael Fisher. Here's a look at the COT Talladega winner from the first race of a regular season in Season 6. Garrett Smithley in the middle of 3 wide. That is a lap truck on the outside, the 01 of Josh Lake. Will Rogers still on the outside. This is for position. And then lap truck Presley Sora now looking to become the lucky dog truck if we get a yellow. He is 32nd and needs to catch up to Case Collenbach in enough time if he wants that free pass.
Well, and he's some 7 seconds back on Case right now, so he's got to speed it up. And he is stuck right now behind some of these guys. Smithley, Will Rogers, 2 drivers that started out the season looking good as far as playoff contention. Both drivers, I believe, or at least Garrett was. I think Will Rogers just missed out on the playoffs. And those are 2 guys that you look at them at the beginning of the season and say they've got a pretty good shot at making the championship, at least contention, at least have a shot at being part of the crew that could go to victory lane. Whoa, look out! That's Nick Olson up into the wall coming off turn 4 right in front of Sora. Sora has some damage to the right side of that 98 as well.
24 got loose, chasing up the track, found the outside wall. You mentioned, Jacob, just how narrow this track gets at the exit of turn 4. It caught the Grit Esports Marketing number 24, and so Olsen drops back to 13th. That is an extra spot gain for Joey Padgett, who slides up to 12th. But again, like you said, big problems for the 98 of Presley Sora. I know pre-race he was just hoping and praying that nothing would happen to him, that he would get some of the good luck, and it has not befallen him so far. And he drops to what's going to be, I think, the 3rd or 4th truck in line for that lucky dog spot. It's going to be Ford Martin now, the first one to get the free pass, as the 51 of Corey Heim has gone around. So those are big developments for Sora, who now falls 26 points below the cut line. And if you're Sora right now, Jacob, you had an abysmal end to the Pocono race. You're having a tough one now by halfway. Is there a way to sort of cheer yourself up and get back on a strategy or a ploy to get in this race once more and fight for the win, or is it just too far out of reach right now?
I think the only way he gets back into the conversation is if there's a caution, because there's nothing he can do as far as strategy that would put him in a better place. Because if he stays out and then pits, yeah, he's going to be faster, but he's still going to be down a lot. if he pits early and then comes out, he may have a shot at getting back on the lead lap, but then the leaders are going to eat him alive once again. And there's so little time left in this race that you really can't do it through strategy. You're going to have to do it through cautions. And that's something that we really haven't seen yet, and maybe the intensity will pick up as things move along. But this is one of those racetracks that, you know, with how hot and slick it is, I thought there was no way that we could go green this long, but so far, so good. Maybe fast pairs have something to do with it, the fact that these guys don't have them now, but it's been a clean 60 laps so far.
This is much like the race at Las Vegas. Obviously, that race had some cautions of its own, but you have a lot of green flag racing mostly throughout. That's what we've seen, a lot of separation, a lot of trucks being put a lap down, a lot of strategy playing into the mix as well. So we'll continue to keep an eye on and everybody in the field and the playoff competition as Corey Heim leads this race by roughly 1.5 seconds over the 17 of Adam Cabot. Built to top industry standards, Interstate Batteries has been the technician's choice for 9 years and counting. Powered by a distributor network of 300 wholesale warehouses and backed up by more than 150,000 dealers across the world, as well as 200 All Battery Center franchise stores, Interstate seeks to deliver the most trustworthy source of power to the world every single day. Interstate Batteries, outrageously dependable. So Corey Heim, your race leader in the 51, looking for a second win over the last 2 races, his second in a row. Adam Cabot in the 17, rolling by in second, 1.5 seconds back. David Schildhaus in third. Chase Cabry in P4. Michael Fisher inside your top 5. There is a truck heading for pit road. That is Brett Baldeck, but a driver who will follow as well. Jacob Hitz, the 25 of lane.
Oh, Cabry's around! Cabry goes around at pit entry. He missed the cone, similar to what happened to Presley Sora. Will be interesting to see whether or not he has to stay in the box for 40 seconds. Chase Cabry, somebody who is just 14 points above the cut line, coming in. He has a spill getting onto pit road. You'll see the replay right here. The sim not showing a black flag. We'll see if he has a long stay in the pit box, though. You'll see it right here just in front of Michael Fisher. Goes wide, misses the cone, and then spins it around. Trouble for truck 39.
It's big for Cabry, who had been mistake-free all race.
He's good.
It looks like he's fine, so no penalty for the 39, although track position may be the thing that's pretty much lost here. The 26 of Ryan Vargas is going to go around, so it's a pivotal pass for Vargas. Adam Cabot has found his way onto the pit lane. Looks like Corey Heim, David Schildhaus, and James Bickford all staying out for now. Corey Heim coming in this time by less of a chaotic entrance this time through. And we talk about Chicagoland and even other 1.5-mile tracks, it being so tough to get down to pit lane as David Schildhaus follows suit with the 51. Here in Chicagoland, you've got a 50-mile-per-hour speed limit. You're going 100 and maybe 75, 180 miles an hour in the middle of the corner. And then all of a sudden you have to hit the brakes, and this abrasive track surface does not let the tires grip up to the way you would want it to entering that pit lane. You have to make a very awkward left-hand turn while hopping on the brakes at the same time. It's caught many drivers here tonight. It looks like more will come in. This time, James Bickford in the 29 making the call for pit road.
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't seen as many incidents coming on the pit road, to be completely honest. Just because I assumed that this would be something that nobody had tested or practiced. Plus, the racetrack is super slick as is. So already you're on old tires, trying to get it down to pit road speed, turning left, under braking. You're going to have a heck of a time trying to slow that truck down. But so far, for the most part, yeah, we had the issue for Sora, the issue for Chase Cabry. Of course, Cabry did not get a black flag, which is surprising to me, because that looked almost identical what happened to Sora, with the exception of Sora didn't spin it around. Sora just kept it pointed in the right direction. But nonetheless, car 39, I guess, gets away with one. If Sora didn't get, screwed with his pants on, I don't know. Nonetheless, Chase Cabry's playoff hopes live for another day.
Looks like he'll stay with that buffer to the cut line. This is going to be big as the points continue to reset. Obviously, we'll have a change and settle once everybody hits pit road, but this is big news if you're Presley Sora. He fell with that issue, the penalty on the pit lane. Now looking behind the 41 of Matt Stolnick, who's not too far away from our current race leader, Nick Olsen. Sora is in the free pass position. This would be a monumental pass if the 98 can get around the 41 and the 24 on lap himself with 53 laps to go.
I don't know. I still think he's going to need help because remember, he still has to come to the pit lane. So I don't know if he's maybe trying the stay out longer and then have fresher tires when everybody else doesn't and try and reel him in that way. But we'll see how everything works. Ryan Vargas just had a heck of a moment here down the front straightaway, trying to get by Nick Olsen. Olsen went, I think, to pull to the inside to get out of the way, or he went down to block. I'm not sure which. And Vargas about ran square into the back of him. And he's able to hang on for now, but Nick Olsen, your race leader, hasn't pitted yet, and it's calamity around car 24 right now.
In the 33, the 39, that's Anthony Alfredo on the bottom, Chase Cabry on the top, Joey Padgett to follow, same deal with Ford Martin, and big news, Corey Heim has just disconnected from the session, had some connectivity issues shortly after the pit stop, was going to be net race leader if he could have gone around Lane Sabile, but that's a big moment. The 51 of Heim, not a pillar anymore in this race. Car on the outside wall, that's Anthony Alfredo sideways.
Saved it, though, up against the fence in turns 1 and 2. Single truck incident here for Anthony Alfredo. We stay under the green flag, and how that worked. He made contact going into turn number 1 with one of your playoff drivers in Joey Padgett. Wheel-to-wheel contact going into turn number 1. Both trucks into the outside wall. Alfredo couldn't save it and had to bounce it off the fence a couple more times. Good amount of damage to both front corners of truck 83. Anthony Alfredo still off the pace right now. He's bringing it to the pit lane, to pit road, and he was just on pit road 6 laps ago. Big development there, but we stay under green as they all kept it in the right direction.
And it looks like the right front damage. We'll see how much it affects Joey Padgett aerodynamically, because we talk about this NASCAR Craftsman Series truck, how much aero it has, how much downforce it continues to have. With the amount of power that's given to it underneath the hood, you get any sort of damage on either side of the truck and your aero is completely destroyed. You'll lose a lot of mile per hour on the straightaways, and for Padgett, you can easily tell the difference because Nick Olsen closes in so fast before the 83 gets in the corner. Padgett running 17th, and you look at the points tally as it stands. He remains at the top of the cut line in P4, but that damage may just be the game changer, Jacob Pitts, heading into our next pit stop.
Yeah, I really think he's in trouble. Both front ends are wrinkled on the truck, and it's just not looking good right now for car 83. He's going to need some more carnage, I think. I think to everybody except for him. The good news, though, for Corey Heim is you see at the top of your screen, that's the 10 of DJ Cummings around trying to get to the pit lane. The 51 will get his laps back. I don't know how he's going to do that if we don't have a caution flag, though, and that could get pretty interesting. Oh, we just fell out again, so it doesn't matter. It will be a little bit here till 51, and Corey Heim gets his lap back. The good news for him, though, he's already locked in. Doesn't have to worry about this ruining his championship hopes after getting the win last week at Popin.
Yeah, if there's any race that you would want to have issues, it has to be the race after you win to lock yourself into the next round. You'd want to have the problems arise when you know your fate is already set for Homestead Miami Speedway. So Corey Heim will be dropped out again with more connectivity issues. Obviously tough for the 51, looking for another win on the season, and that would have been big for the 51 momentum-wise. It would have been 2 in a row for him on the calendar. It would have also been his 3rd race win of the year, after winning at the Daytona Road Course with the Mazda MX-5s in race number 3. So Heim out of this race. Lane Sabile shuffles to the race lead. Heim was the driver that was supposed to catch Sabile for P1, and now it's substituted by the 17 of Adam Cabot. But Jacob Pitts, he has a mirror full of David Schildhouse in the 20, and Schildhouse has been a force all night long. It's yet to really show himself, and this stretch of the race might just be the opportunity.
Well, and once again, Schildhouse is using the draft here with Cabot. I don't know if he's willing to pass Cabot or not. He may try and push Cabot up to Sabile like he did earlier with Heim to Cabot himself. But here he goes. Here comes the 20 to the inside. Let's see what he can do here. That's Stephen Ellis, the lap truck, right in front of him. And they may lose time if they battle like this too much. They're still 2 seconds behind Sabile, your race leader, even though they're both 3/10 faster that last time by. It's going to be tight here headed to 3.
It'll get on the back straightaway. Steven Ellis moves out of the way, so he'll clear on this battle for second. Shieldhouse remains down low, and this is a very detrimental spot, though, if you're in Shieldhouse, if you stay here, because on the bottom at Chicagoland, it is very hard to pass. That outside line can get such a good run, and when you have this much throttle that you put in with this NASCAR Craftsman Series truck, it can be immensely tougher, if not almost impossible, to make a pass on the bottom if you're not sliding in front of the driver behind you. Shieldhouse has a good run. Can he shut off the 17? He cannot. Cabot remains up top, so this battle for second remains on par. And the 25 is Sabile. He loves the sight in the rearview mirror. He's pulling away. 2 seconds the gap now.
Believe it or not, Kenneth, they are still catching him. It's much slower than it was. They were about 0.3 a lap faster. Now they're almost even, but they're still reeling him in. You saw there on the apron, that's Corey Heim getting back on the racetrack. He is several laps down, make it 8 laps down. Alfredo's in the same boat trying to get that damage fixed. Shieldhouse clear for second, but Cabot back to the inside.
Cabot's going to cross over. He'll make the move into turn 3. Can he clear Shieldhouse? It's going to be no. Shieldhouse going to pinch him on the bottom of the racetrack. So similar to what Sabile did in the last run, pushing that 17 down low and making sure you can stay there. And they're just remaining even. They're plateauing, rather, with the 25 of Selene Sabile. It's flirting around 1.92 seconds of gap. Now it's starting to close in a little more as Shieldhouse mounts the run. Power move in the middle of 1 and 2, so Shieldhouse will take over second. This is not good news if you're Adam Cabot. Obviously, I mean, you're going to point your way in if you're the 17, but the last thing you want to do is have that momentum ripped away from your arms as you watch Devin Henry in the 77, one of our very own in the broadcast booth. He's called a bunch of races for us here at Podium Esports, including the Podium 500 last year, and might just be in the booth this time around. The 77 of Devin Henry, the Glendale, Arizona native, currently sitting in the, we'll look to see exactly, I can't see him on the timing and scoring, but he looks to be P21 on the racetrack, 1 lap down.
Yeah, I went looking for a 77, and he's under the 35 here. That's why I was like, where's 77? Wait, yeah. Had to go by name, not number.
There we go. Well, Henry is still running 1 lap down. He is in contention with Jordan Buster in the 47 as the 2 trucks fighting for that free pass spot. Everybody 19th and above, all on the lead lap. Inside 40 laps to go. Here's a look at Will Rogers in the 7 machine. Currently the last driver inside your top 10 and pitted roughly 15 laps ago. I think Rogers, one of the earlier takers for the pit lane, or rather one of the later takers, as I should say. He'll get passed here by the 8 machine of Chris Weaver and the 7 machine of Rogers. Some good memories with the trucks. He is a former series champion and got it back in season 2. Where did we end season 2? It was with the trucks at Atlanta, 1.5 mile track. Rogers wasn't the winner of that, but he was the champion in that entire case, and I think a very solid run out of the Flying Hawaiian. Top 10 will be nice here.
And you know, he's had a little bit of a rough season, I'd say. You know, he missed the cut line for the playoffs by 1 after doing everything he could at Talladega and the next gens to try and find a way in, navigating through those crashes on the last lap. But you know, it's stuff to build from for next year here. If he can finish strong, season 7 just announced will be starting in October. It may be something, if he can finish strong here and next week at Homestead, that he'll be able to carry that momentum to season 7, which seems like an eternity away, but it'll be here before you know it.
Yeah, that's big as well. You talk about season 7, the fact that we are not going to go back up in May like we usually would over the past couple of seasons. We're going to take this summer break, have some events in the meantime, have a little bit of fun, and then, of course, ramp it back up in October, an extended season. So it means the stakes are going to be higher. It means the consistency that you need to have as a driver is also going to be higher. Our competition might just shoot up through the roof like it has been over the past couple of campaigns. Well, here's the number 13 of Gary Sexton. We talked about his Ford F-150 a little while back in our show, but we will remind you that the 5th annual Podium 500 is upcoming this weekend, February 12th on Sunday. We'll rip the next gens around the Daytona International Speedway. We'll have our classic 200-lap, 500-mile showdown in Daytona Beach, Florida. Still have a chance to sign up today. We'll have our races happening in the middle of the week, so stay tuned here on Podium Esports' Twitch channel and all of our other pages. You can also go to podiumesports.com for more information. Jacob, I know you and I covered that race last year, and it was so much fun to cover. I know we put a lot of effort into that broadcast-wise. The race ended up going insanely well. We had a lot of Coke Series drivers in there, a lot of up-and-coming smaller drivers that are not necessarily as high up on the iRating scale, but still put on a great show. We had an absolutely insane finish to the end. So whittling down the more than 300 drivers we had last year to the 40 that make the race on Sunday is just a really cool process to watch, and to watch it all over again is going to be awesome.
It's not easy to make the show, but it's easy to miss it. There's no doubt about it. With how that's set up, be interesting to watch here throughout the week how everything pans out towards Sunday. By the way, Joey Padgett was battling that's the 01 Josh Slate, not for position, but it was just based off of speed because both trucks are so badly damaged. A lap ago, Padgett clobbered the wall coming off turn 4. That time by, Slate did the same. So both trucks really broke, and Padgett is in trouble here of being lapped. The leader is not too far behind.
And also for the first time tonight at trouble of being eliminated from the playoffs. He's 19th on the racetrack. He might be put a lap down, and then he's now 14 points below the cut line. So this is going to be big, and you've got word, Jacob, drivers on pit road, including Chase Cabry in the 39.
Yes, sir. No issue getting onto pit road this time. Meanwhile, for the lead, David Schildhaus has caught Leighton Sabile. Now, we're in the window here to make it to the end. These guys are pitting now, trying to do what Sabile has done all race long. I would think Sabile should pit this lap, so that way he can get the tire advantage still. If he builds out a lead like he did that last time, I think it's ball game here. I think Sabile may have a shot. But like this.
On the brakes, he's going to head for pit road. This lap, Schildhaus was going to take the lead anyway. He was powering in the middle. Sabile sideways, but he will save it, and he will prevent that truck from going completely around, and could have added on to the list of mistakes we've seen by everybody in the field. Sabile comes in without a problem. He'll enter his pit stall, take 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles. That shuffles Adam Cabot, the next playoff driver, in line to second. Garrett Smithley holds up the top 3. Ryan Vargas, Matt Stolnick, 4th and 5th. Solid stop for the 25 of Sabile, and now we watch the 20 of Schildhaus. It looks like he's coming in this time by.
Kicks it out a little bit on entry, but he gets it down well below speed, and he is doing just fine down the pit lane. He can't overshoot his box, though. I've seen a couple of guys do that, especially at the front. Heim did it before. I saw Schildhaus do the same thing.
Schildhaus comes in. It's a very tough pit road entry. We've seen everybody sideways at some point. Hopping on the brake, Schildhaus is going to come in to 17 of Adam Cabot. 2-year race lead entering our final 30 laps. Here from the virtual Chicagoland Speedway, you see the points now reset again. Luckily for Padgett, he is now pretty much even on the cut line, but it's only 2 points to Chase Cabry. And if things stand, it looks like Padgett might just be in a precarious situation now. But the fact that he's been put a lap down and he's just been all over on strategy with that damage, it definitely doesn't help. More drivers in this time through. That includes Garrett Smithley in the 78, Ryan Vargas in the 26. Ryan Vargas currently now 1 point below the cut line as things are resetting. And Vargas will head in for 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles. Adam Cabot should be next on the list. Cabot sideways. It looks like he'll make the limit, though. 17 in and away.
Yeah, we'll see how he does getting into his box. But the hard part is easy. No, let me try it again. The hard part is done. Now it's just, routine. You do this everywhere you go. Stop, get in the box, 4 tires, get out, don't speed on exit, blend properly. The hard part is getting it down to pit road and getting it down to pit road speed without wrecking the truck. So Leighton Sabile right now rounds out to 9th on the racetrack right now. He'll make it 8th, passing Cabot here down the front straightaway. So a lot of folks have already visited the pit lane, and right now Sabile, he is about a second, maybe 2 seconds ahead of David Schildhaus, which is about where the margin was when he got to Adam Cabot a little while ago. So Leighton Sabile could be your upset right now if he can hold this thing together.
Leighton Sabile surely putting out a strategic effort that might put him in a victory lane. That's going to be huge for Sabile, who picked up his first career Monday Night Racing Pro Series win at the Talladega Superspeedway. That's what got him into the playoffs, a driver for the Hog Tabers team out of Statesville, North Carolina, and is a PR for the Legacy Motor Club. It was recently renamed. I'm still used to saying Petty GMS, but it is Legacy Motor Club with Jimmy Johnson and Richard Petty, the two owners of that squad. Also funny because Roger Carruth is a driver in this series, and he's a driver for that team in the Truck Series for 2023. But Sabile looking to get his second career victory, but just hoping that this strategy can fall into his lap. Here's a battle for the lead, and on strategy as well. Nick Olsen in the 24, Colin Fern in the 86. This was Eric Eastep's pick before we dropped the green flag, and while Colin Fern has not been the most outstanding driver this evening, he's been kind of hanging around the mid-pack after starting 11th. Fern has been around a good amount of battles, and he's been pretty quick. He's just yet to find the last piece to really surge him over the hump.
Quiet. He's been quiet. Let's put it that way. We haven't heard much from him, at least on the racetrack. So we'll see how things plan out, if he has any magic in that hat like he did at Atlanta to end the semifinal round. But right now, the way everybody's running, they're going to have one extra set of tires on the pit lane. Nobody's going to have any more than that. So if we get a late caution, depending on when it comes out, I would think everybody's headed to pit road to take those tires, and it's a brawl to the end. If it's within the final 15 laps, everybody's for sure coming. If it's now, it's close, but I still think everybody's going to come to pit road.
Remember what it came down to, though, Jacob? Last time we had a semifinal race, Next Gen's at Atlanta, it came down to that one set. That one set was the one that mattered when that caution flew inside the last couple of laps, and that helped Colin Fern could help somebody else. And at a track like this, fresh tires, you can easily tell when a driver has them. They absolutely blow by the competition. This is merely an example. The 26 of Ryan Vargas shooting past the 24 of Nick Olsen. Vargas looking to unlap himself. He is currently 18th on the racetrack behind Stephen Ellis. And obviously still a good amount of drivers left ahead for the pit road. It's your top four all remaining on the track. And Colin Fern going to go to the inside. The 24 of Olsen going to stay up there. It's going to get rather close out of turn 4, but these guys are looking to extend as far as possible. And that also falls through, Jacob, for the 41. Matt Stolneck, we've talked about him a lot tonight, obviously as being the driver dead last in the point standings going into this race. He's third. He's just trying to do all that he can. I think he's hoping for a yellow with 23 laps to go.
No doubt about it. And I think part of the reason we haven't heard from Colin Fern, by the way, looked like there was some right front damage, right side damage to that truck. So I think that's probably knocked him down a little bit on speed. But he's hanging right in there with Nick Olsen. I wonder how much these guys are saving as far as fuel, as David Schulthouse is mad at somebody. Corey Heim is the guy he's mad at. Go figure. Lap car 51, lead lap car 20, and there's contact off turn 4. Schulthouse leaning on Corey Heim. Heim is 11 laps down on the racetrack. I'm sorry, make that 20 laps down on the racetrack. And he is racing David Schulthouse, who is P5 and a second back on the race leader, like crazy.
And you can tell a lot of the frustration, the bottom right of your screen, he's nodding his head saying, all right, I see what you're doing. Heim in front of him, giving him dirty air, as a matter of fact, for the inside of turn 3. And this is going to stifle Schildhouse's opportunity at catching Lane Sabile for what will be the net race lead. Gary Sexton, 4th car in line, who had been with this group to stay out, has now come in. Battle for the race lead still on at the entrance of turn 3. Colin Fern underneath the 24 of Nick Olsen for P1.
And man, that 86 is sending it in so hard, but the 24 using that outside lane just gets such a run down the front straightaway that he's able to pull away from Colin there. And maybe that's a point from Nick Olsen, taking Fern's line away. Maybe Fern would rather be on that outside line. Just have to wait and see. That's Bailey Turner behind these guys. How about 3 wide up the middle? Fresh tires doing their work, and Fern slides up off the corner.
This is great racing between these guys. We saw fantastic racing between these two, and even a third truck in the middle in one of our last runs when they had stayed out, both of them using the outside in 3 and 4. Chris Weaver going to call for pit road. I think Stephen Ellis also came in about a lap prior. There's fresh tire truck Robbie Lyons, the Seminole, Florida native, the season 3 MNR champion, going to go to the inside of the 86 here. He's looking to unlap himself as he is running 14th. And now it's just a waiting game. They're 29 laps into their stint, Jacob, the 24 and the 86. So how much is this going to last before one of them gives up?
Well, Sora's made it 32 so far. I don't know when he's coming in. but they can at least make it 3 more laps. My guess is Sora's going to go as long as he can and then pit. So whatever that number is, these guys may decide to stay out that long.
And Sora, who's running currently in 17th, 1 lap down. You look at the point standings on the right side of your screen as it updates. He's only 1 point out. So Ryan Vargas in the 26 is going to update again. We'll have some more drivers, but look at how close it puts Matt Stolnick. Only 10 points out, and he is P3 on the racetrack right now. Sabile and Paget -4, so it gets remarkably close. It really starts to fan out once you look at Chase Cabry and Adam Cavitt in points, but it continues to update, but it is still very tight between this group, and if it stays this way or if we get a yellow, we may just have an even playing field inside 17 laps remaining.
Well, remember, we haven't fully cycled around yet. We still have 3 guys in the front that haven't pitted yet. Sabile is about 5 seconds back on the leader and closing by almost a second a lap. So they're going to get there pretty quick. You know, and you look at Sora, he's 16th, a lap down. He still has to pit. Stallnet is pitting this time by here off turn 4. So he'll finally bring that car truck to the pit lane for what would be his final stop if this thing stays green.
So Stolnick in, still the battle for the lead underway. Fern sliding up the racetrack in 1 and 2. It's not going to work, and Olsen has the run off of the 18 degrees of banking, clearing away. Olsen, still your race leader. It looks like Presley Sora in the 98 went over the radio, said pitting. Sora's going to come in this time by.
So that's 35 laps. Oh, man, Fern almost got into Olsen coming off turn 4. He has been taking it so wide off the corners. If Olsen doesn't go up to the wall, they're going to wreck. They've been all over each other.
I think they're just going all out. I don't even think at this point it may be a case for the race win. They'll have fresher tires, but they are just absolutely brawling on the surface right now. It helps that Lane Sabile is still 3.5 seconds back because he is not playing a factor into this battle for P1. Fern on the inside for turn 3. Olsen up top, and as Sora hits the pit lane, there's a look at the points. -4, -5. It'll update when we cross the start-finish line. Still -5. We'll watch as the 98 comes out of pit road. He is still 1 lap down on the racetrack. In fact, 2 laps down, dropping to 24th. And this is really going to play a big factor if Olsen and Fern continue to stay out. 14 laps to go. Gap 5 points. Paget now below the cut line.
Olsen's coming in this time. I think Fern, Fern had his chat disabled. So we'll see if he pits this time. Balfans!
Truck around. It's Balfans. He got into contact with Joey Paget, and somehow
don't come back on the track.
Straight.
Oh, if you're going to go now. There we go. Got it spun around on the apron. But George Balfans Jr. on the apron now, gets it rolling. We are still green, and it was Joey Paget that he made contact with. It almost looked like he turned across the nose. I'm going to need a better angle on that from what I looked at. But big drama there, and Paget, you know, he's doing everything he can to try and make it on points. More damage for him, though, and he's going to have to deal with that the rest of the night.
Looked a little interesting. Looked like a merge of contact. The 94 slightly comes down. He's on that seam, that very top one, and then Paget just gets into him. They both make contact. Paget goes way up the hill, almost to the outside wall, and they were discussing it there in the voice chat as Colin Fern heads for pit road. So that will cycle the lead to Leighton Sabile in the number 25, looking to win his way into the championship four, and Sabile has been the epitome of clutch this season. Final regular season event at Talladega, went out, won that race, entered the playoffs. This could be the opportunity for a chance at a championship at Homestead Miami Speedway, and could be the possible underdog heading into South Beach. And that final race, we're getting into our final 10 laps of the Next Level Racing 120.
We'll see what happens. There's still a long way to go. Hey, I mean, you just saw a wreck that didn't bring out a caution because it wasn't big enough. It's possible. I will tell you this, though. David Schildhouse just had a moment on that last lap. He lost half a second to Sabile. Whoa, look out! There goes Melillo around! Oh, my gosh! Oh, and now the wrecker behind! Rabelis is around. Mark Rabelis.
And race control is not going to call the yellow. 3 close calls in the matter of roughly 3 or so laps, and we're still green.
Sora was the one that delivered the punt there to Rabilis. He got pushed in by Olsen because they were all checking up. They didn't know why. And, well, Sora found out. There's the contact, and I think maybe Malillo pinched him a little tight for the race leader. And there you see the contact. Sora into the back of the 99, then the 24 into the back of the 98, back into the 99.
It's just a sandwich there. All of them checking up at the last second. Nothing Sora could do. He just gets put in the middle. And Sora, with all of that damage, is now minus 31 on the cut line. Sora 25th, 2 laps down on the track. Adam Cabot just went by him. Cabot is holding up third. Watch this out of turn 2. He almost gets into the 17, and Sora strikes the outside wall. Another scare inside 9 laps to go.
And Cabot is trying to catch Schildhouse, who's just half a second up the road. They are trying everything they can to turn this into a mess of a finish.
They're trying to give themselves a chance, some of them, or trying to hope for a chance. And that was miraculously close. At 17 made his way around the 98, about a lap prior. And then Sora just found a huge run out of turn 2 and couldn't ignore it. And the 17 almost gets caught up into that, and it is going to halt the progress, and he's going to fall to another lap truck. This time it's Chris Weaver in the 8 who's going to go by. I think that's on fresh tires, so that is not going to be that big of a factor, but he's in the same lane as Joey Paget in front of him, so some dirty air, some understeer, and the 17 stopped in his tracks, almost got caught into a crash, and we crossed the line with the final 6 laps remaining in this next level racing 120, rather 7. We'll have 6 next time by. And while all of this has gone on, Jacob Hitz, it has only helped Lane Sabile. He's been on that alternative strategy all race long, and while David Schildhouse is not too far back, there's still a bit of time. Sabile found the right moment at the right time to be out in front.
Well, Schildhouse is 1.7 back. That last time by, he was only 500ths faster. He needs to be gaining, you know, a quarter second a lap to be catching him. That time it was closer to a 10th, but still, Leighton Sabile, he's got lap traffic behind him as a buffer. Cabot has caught Schildhouse for second. They're within 0.2 of each other right now. So I think Leighton Sabile, barring a caution, he's going to waltz his way to the championship 4.
He was the second to last driver in the point standings going into tonight's race. Had to work a miracle, and it looks like that may fall right to his favor, as here's the potential battle for a second. Adam Cabot, huge run out of turn 4. He'll look to the inside of David Schildhouse for turn 1. The focus on the Glen Gardner, New Jersey native. He works to the bottom. Schildhouse is going to pinch, and all that's going to do is open that gap back up to Lane Sabile. Cabot remaining down low. We're even for P2 on the back straightaway.
And Schildhouse, I remember him saying after he got eliminated at Daytona, he said, look, I'm not racing these playoff guys any differently now. You know, I was proved that when I was in the, it was proved to me that when I was in the playoffs, the non-playoff drivers wouldn't race me any different. So I'm going to do the same thing back throughout the rest of the season. And right now, 3 wide, Ford Martin up against the wall. This could get tight here coming off turn 2. So far, so good. There's still 1.4 back coming to 3 laps to go.
Well, look at what's in front of Lane Sabile. He's in a sea of lap traffic. Chris Weaver, who got around Adam Cabot a couple of laps ago, he's moving his way by. But in the midst of the 25, you have the 51 of Corey Heim, the number 55 of Ronnie Osmer. So
Jordan Buster's around. We got trouble. Olsen and Buster, 2 cars. They save it in turn 1 on the apron. We are still green with 3 laps to go.
And that was Colin Fern. They got to the rear end of Jordan Buster's machine, and that catches the 24. Watch this as Olsen goes to the inside of the 86. Fern gets a huge one on Buster, sends him down the track.
Oh, and he's in the way of the leaders. Oh my gosh, Cabot about killed Buster there through 3 and 4 off the pace, trying to get it wound up, and that just killed Cabot's momentum because he had to lift, so he didn't run him over. Cabot's going to lose a little bit of time here to Schildhouse. And with 2 laps to go, this battle may be done for position number 2. Not like it really matters in the grand scheme of things.
But it looks like time may run out as Lane Sabile enters turns 3 and 4, still around some of the lap traffic, is still in front of Chris Weaver and Corey Heim, now looking underneath Ronnie Osmer. But the 25 of Lane Sabile will get the interstate batteries. 1 to go in the next level racing 120 from Chicagoland.
Can we call him the Christopher Bell of Monday Night Racing? I mean, that's twice this season now. Same with Christopher Bell, winning his way to the next round. He won himself into the playoffs, and he's going to win himself to the championship for at Homestead next week, Kenneth.
You can call him Clutch. The 25 makes an alternative pit strategy call, and Lane Sabile will be the underdog at Homestead next week. Hello, Championship 4. Lane Sabile wins the Next Level Racing 120, his second career M&R victory, and arguably the most important. And no cautions. We go
That's
free.
The first. Yeah.
From drop of the green to drop of the checkered.
That's M&R history, which we've gotten close before. There were a couple of races where they wrecked on lap 1 and then we didn't wreck again. In fact, I think 2 of them we saw last year. So this is wow. Unbelievable. They tried their best, though, to tear it up.
No, they did. They got very close. Lane Sabile burns it down. He becomes the 5th driver in the last 5 races to get their 2nd win of the season in season number 6. Lane Sabile wins at Chicagoland, and he will join Corey Heim and the other 2 that we'll get after the break for Homestead Miami Speedway in the Championship 4. Don't go anywhere. More on the other side here on Podium Esports as Sabile continues to celebrate in Joliet, Illinois.
This is an Interstate battery. More pros trust this than any other out there. Yeah, more pros. More. Even more pros. Keep going. Moss. Look, we're gonna run out of time before we run out of pros who like Interstate. I mean, we'll run out of time before we even run out of left-handed pros who knit. These pros are everywhere, which means so is this battery. Right around the corner, up the street. Everywhere. Interstate batteries. Outrageously dependable.
Visit our website at toughgoflooring.com.
FrontStretch.com, providing up-to-date news, analysis, and commentary on all the latest in the world of motorsports. Check out Front Stretch YouTube page for post-race content after the checker flag waves for most NASCAR events, giving you up-close interviews with your favorite drivers and the stories that matter each weekend. For the best seat of the track and the best view on the web, visit FrontStretch.com.
Get the edge on your competition with P8 Performance Gummies. Formulated specifically for gamers and the esports industry, we packed our gummies with all the good stuff, including ingredients that are clinically proven to help tired eyes, improve reaction times, and help suppress computer vision syndrome. Take your focus and endurance to the next level and try P8 gummies today. Now available at Procelerate.com. Plus, if you're mad about gaming, we're looking to partner with influencers just like you. Drop us a line at support@Procelerate.com to see if you qualify to try our gummies for free. It's officially game on with all new P8 gummies.
The smoke settles here from the virtual Chicagoland Speedway, and it shows a truck bearing the number 25 on it. Lane Sabile wins the Next Level Racing 120. We'll take a look at your full field results, and as the 25 crosses the start-finish line, he joins Corey Heim as the two drivers in the round of 8 that are locked in via wins to the Championship 4 at Homestead at Miami Speedway 1 week from tonight. David Schildhaus did all that he could to catch up to Sabile in that last run, and as a non-playoff driver, Schildhaus performs and executes. He finishes P2. Adam Kavich short of the top 2, but he is still 3rd. It looks like he will also advance to what would be his 3rd Championship 4 appearance in his M&R career as he's on the podium. Michael Fisher in the 96, a great run for the rookie driver. He ends up P4. He was in our top 10 pretty much all race long. James Bickford, who started on the outside of the front row, he brings his Charlotte Phoenix Toyota Tundra TRD Pro home to the top 5. Garrett Smithley behind him in P6. Ryan Vargas to follow suit in P7. Chase Cabry will come home in 8th. In the 39 machine, Will Rogers in the 7 goes from 21st on the grid to P9. Bailey Turner in the 5. Jacob hits the final truck to round out the top 10.
Colin Fern comes home P11 after staying out that long time. Wasn't sure how it was going to pan out, but it got him on the doorstep there of a top 10. Former champ Robbie Lyons finishes P12. Gary Sexton in 13th. Nick Olson finishes 14th. He was right around there with Fern, but got involved in an accident there late in the going. Devin Henry, your first truck rather. He finishes 15th. Matt Stolnick needed a win. Didn't quite get there. 16th a lap down tonight. DJ Cummings 17th. Max Kennan 18th. Brandon Brown 19th. And George Balfans Jr. rounding out the top 20.
We'll start with the trucks 2 laps down. That is the 8 machine of Chris Weaver 21st. Ford Martin is 22nd at the drop of the checker. Joey Padgett struggled in the second half of this race. He is eliminated from playoff contention, and the rookie will finish 23rd in this event. Jordan Buster is in 24th, and then Presley Sora, 25th, got hit with a pit road speeding penalty. Unfortunately, could not recover, and Sora will not be able to defend his crown at Homestead, Miami in the next week. Stephen Ellis is 26th. Brett Baldeck is 27th. Justin Malilla will be 28th. Case Collenbach and Steve Alfon, the 2 drivers to round out your top 30. Then there are the 6 from 31st to 36, starting with Ronnie Osman, the 55, Mark Rubilis, 32nd. Corey Heim had connectivity issues despite having a fast truck all race. He is 33rd at the drop of the checkered, 34th to Josh Slate, 35th to Anthony Alfredo, and Preston Pardis in the number 42, 95 laps down. An early day for Preston Pardis in his machine. We'll talk to the driver, though, who visits victory lane for the 2nd time this season, for the 2nd time in his M&R career, and for the first time, Leighton Sabile, you are a member of the Championship 4. First of all, just walk us through your emotions, how you feel after the win.
Oh, man, thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Oh, man, that feels really good. Man, I had one goal coming in tonight, and basically it was the same deal as how we ran Talladega, just trying to make the playoffs. And man, here we are again, doing what we need to in high pressure situations like that. Man, I don't really know what to say, but I'm really thankful and relieved. I've been trying so hard. All I wanted to do since the start of the year, since I watched last year's finale down at the Charlotte Convention Center, I said, man, that looks really cool. I want to be a part of something like that. So I tried really hard, and man, we just didn't have the raw pace tonight in our Toughco Flooring.com Chevrolet. It was a tough fought race, but I knew my number one shot around Chicagoland was going to be to short pit these guys, and hopefully everything was going to stay green. And man, it just did just that. And man, it was awesome. I really appreciate all the support from everyone back at the Hog Tamers. It was a shame Corey Heim had his issues there. Man, he's always so fast, and it's really fun to go out there and race with your buddies and know that you're going all out on the line. And man, we got two of them there going for a championship next week, so I'm super pumped, and I'm just happy to be here.
Of course, like you said, you took that strategy to short pit everybody else, all the playoff competition, and it works out in your favor in this last stint. Given the way that this race had not gone yellow at all from lap 1 to lap 120, were there any large concerns that you had behind the wheel, just hoping that a caution would not come out, or what was the mindset there?
Well, I'll tell you what, there was a time going down the backstretch where some lappers were just wrecking each other, or trying to at least, directly in front of me. And I said, oh my God, I'm not going to lift here, and we're just going to hope for the best. Hopefully they were able to save it, gather it all up, and that caution didn't end up flying. Obviously, coming out, I wanted to make sure that I was going to be the first one to come down pit lane. I knew that was going to be a huge benefit on my part if we could do that and maintain our track position. I had an incredible race strategist in Mon and Ramen. He works at Venerini Motorsports, and he was calculating the fuel mileage as well as the delta and the lap times that we had. And just told me if I just maintained a number that we were going to make it. And man, sure enough, that's what ended up happening. And I gotta give a quick apologies to Justin Malillo. As I was coming through the field there with, I believe it was under 10 to go or whatever. Man, I was committed to the bottom, and all I was focused on was the gap out back. And I looked up and I saw that him as a slower lap car. I was already committed to the bottom, and unfortunately we made contact, but thankfully he was able to save it. So hopefully there's no hard feelings there. I've been racing those guys for about 10-15 years now. So I just I don't know, there's a lot going on in my mind right now, but I'm just really thankful and excited to be competing for my first series championship here in my first full year. It's been awesome. And Hog Tamers, that's what we do. Like I said, we got 2 of the 4, and hopefully one of us can bring home the trophy. That'd be pretty cool.
Occupying half of the championship for Lane, and you talk about that excitement. Now, what is the next step for Homestead of Miami Speedway with the Xfinity Series cars? Are you already sort of thinking about how you're going to attack that race, or if for right now you're just going to let this win settle down before you think next step?
Well, I think you just said it right there. We really don't have all that much time to kind of prep for Homestead, and but I do have a couple things going for me. Number one, obviously, that we have teammates in the race that's going to help and run hard, but run clean. And I know I can run toe to toe with Corey given the right circumstances. Now the other 2 guys, I'm going to be honest, guys, I don't even know who the other 2 are that are in this championship. I have no clue whatsoever. But I don't know. I mean, everyone here that's in the playoffs in Monday Night Racing, they've been really good, and they've really been coming on strong, especially towards the end of the season. So I guess whoever those other 2 guys, it's going to be quite the fight between the 4 of us. But man, I'm just looking forward to it, and I feel pretty confident in the Xfinity car. But I mean, if I had to guess, I'm probably a long shot to win this, but I gotta say, I mean, we were the long shot going into Talladega. We weren't even close to making the chase or the playoffs there, and won that one. And man, they counted us out again, and we were able to come back and prove that we belong here this time around. So I guess to answer your question there, I am ready for Homestead, and regardless on how things shake out, I've had a really fun time racing with everyone. It's been a long off season, just getting ready to go back to the racetrack and in real life. But man, I'm excited and looking forward to it.
A lot of excitement. Big win. Your first ever Championship 4 appearance in your Monday Night Racing career. Lane, on behalf of our entire team at Podium Esports, congratulations on the win in the Next Level Racing 120. We'll see you at the Championship 4 at Homestead next week.
Thank you, guys.
That is Lane Sabile, short pitting, using strategy to his advantage, and he wins the Next Level Racing 120 and advances into the Championship 4. We'll talk to the driver who comes home in second, Jacob Pitts. That is the driver of the 20, David Schildhaus.
David Schildhouse, I understand that tempers were high during tonight's festivities, particularly with that car in the frame right there, Corey Heim. So let's get your side of the story. What happened?
He came out and protected Leighton so Leighton could win. It's pretty obvious. It's pretty simple. It's got everybody over here. The children are looking at it, and it's pretty unanimous. And I guess Corey's admitted to it in the Twitter group chat. It's pretty disappointing to see this kind of behavior out of somebody. Multiple laps down. Yeah, he was probably going to win if he doesn't fall out, but he did fall out. Lost laps, but he comes out on fresh tires, parks it on my nose, feeds me all the dirty air, and then sticks on my right side lap after lap and doesn't let me go. Shows no respect for a guy that's already locked in. Pretty classless driving, but I realized he wanted to get Leighton in, and holding me back was the only thing that was going to protect Leighton because I had fresher tires. And, it's just an unfortunate circumstance. What really gets my goat is the fact that he sits there during the race when I call him out for it and tries to act all innocent. But as I told my chat, don't piss on my shoe and tell me it's raining. We all know what happened, and it's just really disappointing.
Other than that, though, P2 can't be upset about that. Strong truck all night long.
Yeah, the Heartbeat Hot Sauce Chevrolet was really good. That's a mouthful. Heartbeat Hot Sauce Chevrolet. It was really awesome to run this paint scheme tonight. Looking forward to seeing Ryan Ellis wheel the real thing around Daytona here in a week and a half. But it's cool to bring them on board tonight, have a different look, and a really strong run. It's definitely something that we've needed here in the 20 camp. Start up front, stay up front. And I really felt like I had a good chance to win this race with Heim falling out. I knew that I could catch Leighton and pass him and win this thing. So you say I can't be mad with second, but I'm not going to say that I'm mad. I'm just, I'm mad. Heck it, I'm mad. This is a perfect encapsulation of some of the things that are really wrong with Monday Night Racing. I love this league, but there are really a handful of things that need to be addressed before it comes back in October. I really hope that they get it figured out because it really kills the vibe for a lot of us. And now the drivers, the viewers, and stuff like this is just another black eye for it. We go caution free, and we can't escape controversy because a guy that's locked into the championship race has to go out and influence the outcome to protect somebody else. It's just really disappointing to see.
Are you going to race anybody any differently next week in the championship race from Homestead?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to make Corey's life a living hell as much as I can. I'm not going to sink to his level and do that kind of stuff or play any games like that, but he's not getting a break from me. I'll tell you that. I'm not going to go out and wreck him or do anything because that doesn't make me any better than some of these bozos out here. But, yeah, he's not getting any breaks from me. He's got a lot more to lose next week than I do. I'm just here to have fun and finish off this season. He's trying to win a championship, whether he says he cares about it or not, or he takes it seriously or not. I think he's going to care next week when he's in that position, but he won't be getting any breaks from the 20. I'll tell you that.
David, congratulations on the top 3. We'll see you next week from Homestead.
Thanks, Jacob. I appreciate it. Big thanks again to Heartbeat Hot Sauce, Market Rebellion, everybody at Alpha Prime Racing, and the children for watching, hanging out tonight, and supporting. We're going to put on a hell of a show.
David Schildhouse, P2 tonight from Chicagoland. Kenneth.
You look at David Schildhouse, second tonight from Chicagoland. He is also the defending winner at Homestead Miami Speedway. Went to victory lane when we waved the checkered there last season in season number 5. So Leighton Sabile takes away the checkered flag. He joins Corey Heim as the championship 4 that are locked in via wins. The other 2 to join them, Adam Cabot in the 17, the 39 of Chase Caber. You have a total of 2 rookies, one in their 3rd championship 4 appearance, and all the others in their 1st. It is going to be an unbelievable showdown when we get to South Florida in 1 week time with the Xfinity Series cars for our final race, February 13th, 2023. So for Ford Martin and Paul Sutton at Monday Night Racing, Joshua Mendoza in race control, for Gary Sexton and John Theodore at Podium Esports, our camera builder Dougie Beard, our overlay builder Michael Hall, for Cameron Aubernon on social media, and for our crew on tonight's broadcast, Ryan Bauer, our producer, Jacob Hitz alongside myself, Kenneth Bueno, for the Next Level Racing 120. Thank you so much for watching our broadcast from the virtual Chicagoland Speedway. But for now, we'll turn it to our continuing coverage and the front stretch post-race show with Brandon Houff and Jared Haas. Brandon?
Thank you, guys. Welcome back, guys, to another. Oh, okay. Hey,
It's
Jared.
all good. I had a little bit of internet connections. What is going on there? I am not Michael Massey. I am Jared Haas, and that was Brandon Hoff bringing you in there, folks. Leighton Sibule used pitch strategy to secure a spot in the championship for a very not uneventful race, but a caution-free race that hasn't happened in Monday Night Racing. Brandon, what are your thoughts on that strategy of Leighton Sibile short pitting and that to just work out? It almost never works out where you use pitch strategy and it just falls into your lap just like that.
Yeah, honestly, and I was saying it off camera, I'm really shocked, but pleasantly surprised this race went caution free. And the fact that the strategy worked. Usually, we see it in real life too. When you short pit, you're taking a real chance, with trying to make up time, but you also run the risk of the caution coming out. So, Leighton knew what he had to do coming into tonight. He knew he had to win, and he knew he had to do it at all costs. And, the strategy was right. And he kept making up that time in the first run. And by the time he wound up in the lead, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, there's going to be a caution. It's going to work out for a little bit, but then I'm sure somewhere along the line, everybody's going to get back on even tires. And then we'll see who had the best speed out of everybody. But it just turned out that, caution free, and they split the race into thirds, which is really smart with a 120 lap race. Kudos to him. That was just a really good strategy from the start. They stuck with it. There really didn't seem like an audible or anything. They just went with it. Leighton went out and got it. Little mishap there at the end. I didn't quite catch it what happened there in 3 and 4, but it wasn't all smooth sailing. But hey, he got a walk-off win, so really that's all that matters for him right now.
And the broadcast, I think, said it best, is Christopher Bell-esque.
Yeah.
Winning with your backs against the wall. Leighton Sibile gets it done. He's locked in. Corey Heim was pretty dominant early on until connection issues caused him to go awry. He is still locked in from his win previously at Pocono. Then you've got Adam Cabot and Chase Cabrey. But I want to look into a little bit more of a retrospective this season. Who's been more of the bigger surprises? And I'll have to say, even though he didn't make the championship 4, I gotta say Presley Sora has been impressive on the fact that he's been hanging week in and week out. He's been one of the more dominant cars, and a lot of people had him penciled into the championship 4, but like I said, tonight was not the case too, that he got a, like I said, he missed his pit road entry, had a 40-second penalty, and basically was behind the 8 ball all night. No cautions helping him out. But on the bright side for Presley Sora, news that he has a late model contract where he's going to be driving late models to real life. Another example of the Sim Racing 2 real life protege. What is one of your biggest surprises for the Monday Night Racing season so far?
I think it starts with tonight at the top with Leighton. Leighton has been in this league before. He's had his fair share of good runs, but to be quite honest, even though I know he's a fast driver, I think him making it to the Final Four is quite a surprise to a few, maybe not many. But I think him being in that group I kind of saw him come out of nowhere because, he was kind of out of it last week. And, even though he made his way into the next round, through the first round, I wasn't really expecting him to really come out and have the performance he did, honestly. I knew, guys like Corey would be fast, Chase would be fast, Adam, all those guys. I knew they would be good. But Leighton just kind of came out, like we said, with the strategy, and then he just hung up there all night. But I would say he's a very pleasant surprise this season. But Presley would definitely be one. Honestly, I think he's more of a surprise not making the Final Four. Unfortunately, like you said, he was behind the 8 ball all night after the pit road issue. But, I think my number one surprise after tonight is Leighton being where he is. And now I think he's got a very, very, very good shot at winning it all, which I'm not going to say that would be a surprise anymore, but him making it to the Final Four, just a little bit of a surprise, but it's a very pleasant surprise.
He won it with winning at Talladega, getting into the playoffs. Now
Yeah.
he won getting in the championship 4 here
Yeah.
at
Mhm.
Chicagoland
Yeah.
to get to the final race at Homestead. Now, an interesting kind of turn of events that affected multiple drivers. These 8 drivers, at least 3 of the drivers had issues getting onto pit road. We saw Presley Sora, as we mentioned earlier, miss entry at pit road. Chase Cabry had issues as well as Adam Cabot slid his way through into pit road. What made this difficult pit road so difficult for these drivers, especially on iRacing, for them to enter? And we were seeing with the best of the crop.
Yeah, and I think it's difficult enough with Chicago and pit entry, but the track temp tonight was 128 degrees, 91 degrees Fahrenheit or ambient temperature in the server, which I don't think it's been that hot for a race this season. Actually, I don't think it's been that hot for a race in a while in this league. So add that in with the pit entry and the angle you have to come into pit road, that made it difficult. And the setup itself, I mean, everybody was slipping and sliding all night. I mean, we saw it, running every groove. Everybody's getting sideways off the corner, and then and then add in 35 lap tires coming onto pit road. And plus in practice, when you practice a pit entry, many guys aren't practicing their pit entry on those old tires. They're practicing probably on 5 to 10 lap old tires just to try to get a gauge on it. You add the no grip factor in there, and it's crazy. And that's why we saw all the problems, I think. Some guys nailed it. We saw some guys have really good pit entries, make up a lot of time, or even just, getting onto pit road at all, really, and not messing up. That was the key tonight. Unfortunately, we saw some guys have the mishap. Like for Adam, he still got a great finish out of it, still made the final 4. Really didn't hurt him. Like we said, for Presley, unfortunately, it kind of killed his race and ruined any shot he had at the final 4. But yeah, I mean, the hot track temps, really, the angle you have to come onto pit road, the no grip in the setup, really so many factors. But it was, I'm telling you, I was impressed that a lot of the guys that I saw were able to nail it. And some of the saves too on pit road. I saw one at one point today. Colin Fern, I was watching the back of the field. He came onto pit road at least 90 degrees towards the inside wall, and he never spun fully around and still made pit road speed. Never got a penalty or anything, and was going straight again. So, I mean, guys like that, it's crazy. But yeah, it was an eventful day on the track and on pit road.
Not a lot of speeding penalties either. And one of the drivers that you mentioned here is Adam Cabot. And look at when he said, speaking of this too, Adam Cabot joins us. Adam, we were just talking about pit road entry and how difficult it was for a lot of drivers in the championship, contending for the championship. We're trying to get in onto pit road. How difficult was it from your perspective?
It was definitely pretty difficult. There was a lot of rear brake dialed into the car, so if you didn't practice it in practice, then you were definitely in for quite a surprise for that first green flag pit stop. But yeah, I mean, my first pit stop, I was ready for it, and still entered pretty hot, and was lucky to not get a speeding penalty. But yeah, I mean, if you were ready for it, it wasn't that bad. But I mean, if these guys are coming from last week with the next gen, the brakes on those things are so good, it's easy to get down to pit road speed. Definitely not the case tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Adam, talk about, tonight. You got a great finish. You're in the final 4. Now next week you go to Homestead in the Xfinity car, another track, kind of like Chicago, multiple grooves, slipping and sliding. How are you going to approach that race? Obviously, it's winner go home pretty much with the top 4. Same approach tonight, more aggressive. I mean, how'd you approach tonight compared to how you're going to approach next week?
Next week I will be more aggressive. Next week I'll also put in more preparation because, like you said, it all comes down to one race. So, that's how I won my championship 2 seasons ago, was just by preparing and understanding what different fuel strategies could come up, what the car is going to do late in a run, just trying different lines. I don't really like practicing on iRacing because it's pretty boring, but I also like winning. And I know that with the competition we have, it's, you're not going to really probably be putting your best foot forward and having a good chance to win if you don't prepare. And I expect everyone else will be preparing as well. So just preparation and definitely a little bit more aggression. I know Corey was just faster than me tonight, but I don't really. I don't know. I don't really like the truck on iRacing. There's always, I feel like there's a little piece of the puzzle I've never quite been able to completely figure out with it. But we were battling really tight side by side, and at that point I'm like, I gotta just let him go, because like he has nothing to lose. He's locked in, and he knows it, and he's racing like it. So at that point it was just, all right, let's just let him go. Just try to keep up with him, and was sort of able to keep in touch with him. But he definitely had the race won if he didn't disconnect there.
I want to talk about a rule change that was implemented in Monday Night Racing at the beginning of the playoffs, was the no fast repair.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw at the beginning of the season pretty chaotic races, kind of compared to what we saw at the Clash yesterday evening. But how has the racing changed with that rule implemented, that now there's no fast repairs? If you're wrecked, you're done for the day. How have you seen that in the playoffs been with racing other drivers?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely, at the very least, part of the reason why a lot of the races have cleaned up, because you don't get a do-over. I mean, even like I said, am I out there causing a lot of wrecks? I don't think so, not really. But like my battle with Corey early in the race, if I had a fast repair in the bag, I might have stuck with it and then tried to stay side by side with him and battle it out. And if you have enough people thinking that way, you're just kind of increasing that risk factor. So I think it definitely has helped clean out the racing. I'm a huge fan of that rule. And I kind of wish we never had a fast repair. Of course, when you wreck, you end up wishing that you had one, but it definitely forces you to focus on running a clean race, start to finish. And like I said, I think that we've definitely seen it clean up the racing.
Yeah, speaking of the clean races, how surprised were you tonight by the no cautions? I mean, going into this race and probably through testing, you probably figured maybe a few cautions, maybe not a overabundant amount that we've seen in the past, but maybe a few here and there. How surprising was it that every run we just kept going green? Everybody kept racing pretty close, but we stayed clean and green. How surprising was it to you?
I was very surprised. I was talking to Bailey Turner, my teammate, before the race, he and Gary Sexton, and they were talking about, I think Bailey was talking about a strategy. If it goes green, I'm like, why even bother? Like, that's not going to happen. He's like, yeah, we'll split it 30-30-30, just like, yeah, we'll split it up that way. I'm like, okay, sure. Like, if it actually goes green. And then lo and behold, it for the first time literally ever, it did. Yeah, I mean, these are the type of races that you love to race as a racer, which is why, it also shows you I've had a really good season if I'm disappointed with third. But honestly, I am, because every week there's something you can kind of blame it on. Like, if that caution didn't come out, like last week, I'm 100% convinced that caution didn't come out to end the green flag run, I would have won that race. Like, I felt like I was on the perfect strategy. But tonight, there's no one else to blame for just not quite having that little bit more speed that I needed, but myself. And I also still did my pit stall, which probably cost you at least 2 seconds, right? And I finished less than 2 seconds behind Leighton. So I should just be happy to get out of here, survive with the third, and go on to the championship 4. And don't get me wrong, I am, but I'll just add this to the list of races that I feel like could have been a win and just slipped away. I mean, especially with Corey having that misfortune. I mean, when he did, I was like, oh, cool. Like, I just got to kind of battle David here and beat him, and I'll be able to get I don't want to say an easy win, but a much easier win than if Corey was still in the race. But David was able to hold me off. He was probably a little bit quicker than me tonight, and Leighton just, I guess, dug down deep and found some crazy speed that he didn't really maybe even know himself he had all season, and went out there and just took it from us. So it's you can't ask for anything more than just a race that goes green like that. So that was definitely all good from the driver's perspective. But I got to say, I mean, just because it went green didn't mean there wasn't any action. I saw probably like 5 or 6 crashes. Just they were single car. I mean, out of the way, but you're still seeing people trying to save it on the apron, just praying they don't cut back up in front of you. So it was really sketchy. People on different strategies. You were just constantly in traffic with cars either passing you or you passing them. So it was not as maybe easy going as you'd think a green race would be for someone who's just trying to make it to the end. But definitely cool to see us finally have a flag to flag race like that.
That's Adam Cabot for you. Finished third here at Chicagoland. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Adam.
Now, I want to give a moment here for FrontStretch.com to talk about a little bit about us this past weekend. FrontStretch.com providing up-to-date news, analysis, commentary, and all the latest in the world of motorsports. Check out the interviews that we got this weekend at the Busch Light Clash on our YouTube page, ranging from celebrities Joe McHale and Michael Rooker to Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano during the post-race. For the best seat of the track and the best view on the web, visit FrontStretch.com. And on our YouTube YouTube page, youtube.com/frontstretch. And now we're going to bring into our second guest to the show. He is Mr. Robbie Lyons, driving the Blue Deuce number truck. Robbie, how was your race from your perspective? Pretty chaotic, not a lot of cautions, but you kept your nose pretty clean.
Yeah, pretty clean. Gosh, the whole race went by like a whirlwind. I was just sitting here trying to think about what I was going to talk about because everything happened so fast. I was kind of running my own race the whole time. I don't really even think I raced anybody that hard. But yeah, spun out coming to pit road. I about had it all the way woed down. I actually think I was 5 miles an hour under pit road speed, and it just spun right out. But it was nice to know I wasn't the only one that had that issue.
That was a issue that plagued up and down the field, especially with our championship competitors. Robbie, I want to talk about the competition for a second too. You're our former season 3 champion, and the competition has definitely been improved. We have regular NASCAR Xfinity Series drivers in and out through the weekend. What have you seen from the competition change from your winning season to season 3 to now? How much has it changed?
Well, the aggression level has certainly gone up. Definitely the talent has increased. Nothing against the drivers that we had before when I won the championship, but yeah, I mean, you look at the guys that have come in here like Cabry and Leighton and Corey. I know Corey was in here last season, but it's been building up. You just got to raise to a completely different level. I honestly think our races have been a lot cleaner this year, so strategy has been more important. But yeah, I mean, I think the biggest factor, at least in my case, has been the EOL rules and all that stuff. I think that's gone towards making the driving more aggressive. There's not an immediate penalty towards getting into somebody or roughing someone up. But then they kind of countered that one with the no fast repair rule. So I think that's why you see the race tonight go caution free. Nobody has a fast repair. It's an elimination race, and then we got the championship race next weekend. So I always felt like the truck races and the Xfinity races that I ran at Homestead, being championship races, those are like the cleanest races of the year because there's a lot on the line and there's no fast repairs in real life either. So yeah, I think all around the rule changes have worked really well for the series, and have, the competition levels increased, and it's just become a really, really, really competitive series.
Hey, Robbie, being the season 3 champion that you are, talk about what these guys are probably going through going into next week. They have a whole week to prepare, obviously, through the testing and anything else they're going to prepare for. What advice would you give any of them? Some have been here before, some have been in these big situations, but what kind of advice would you say for these first timers like, Chase, or even a past champion like yourself, or even like, for Adam, who's been in this spot? What would you tell them for next week's race?
Yeah, so I think in this case, Adam's obviously the got to go in as the favorite because he's been there before and came out on top. I think it'll be different not racing in person. Everybody's racing at home, so everybody's got a home field advantage. Cabry's raced for a championship before in real life, and I think that's what ultimately helped me my championship year is that I'd won championships racing in real life before, and how to take on those stressful hours, minutes, whatever it might be, minute at a time. And the whole thing, for the newcomers is just not to give up. Every race has its challenges and hiccups and bumps along the way, and you got to stay mentally in the game. You can't unravel and make more mistakes. And the worst thing you do is compound one issue with multiple, and minimizes mistakes. But every one of the championship contenders is going to make them. It's just whoever stays mentally in the game and stays focused the longest that's going to come out with the trophy at the end.
I want to pivot here for a second, Robbie. Coming up on a little bit of an anniversary. Your last NASCAR start was in the Xfinity Series in the number 61 car at Daytona. And we haven't seen you last year in 2022 at all. A little bit, you've been more of a staple here at Monday Night Racing. Kind of give it more of the casual fans. What has Robbie Lyons been doing in racing in the past year or so?
Yeah, so really not a whole lot of racing at all, to be honest with you. 2021, obviously, I only had one start at Daytona in February, and it did not go the way that any of us had planned. And, it was a struggle to mentally get through all that. And I took a couple years off to kind of have a mental reset. And, the grind week to week in racing is, if you let it get to you, it gets to everybody at some point. And I just needed some time off to, reevaluate and see where my passion for racing was, if I need to find something else to do, or where I was going to go. And if there's one thing that all that time off has taught me, especially having M&R to keep, racing to some level, is that I still love racing more than I always have. And so I've been working in the shop with Bruce Cook. We've been working together a long time, and been going to the ARCA races with him and helping out. And it's I think I'm ready to get back behind the wheel. We raced, or didn't race, but tested at Daytona in the ARCA series, and did really well. Had Landon Lewis, he's an up-and-coming racer, driving for us, and Matt Gould, Phil Gould's son, he did really well. And I've just been having a lot more fun with that group of people. And so we're planning on running the race here in a couple weeks at Daytona, or I guess next week. So we'll get back on track at Daytona and make some better memories and have a lot more fun this year. But I also got my legend car running and ran that at the Charlotte Roval last weekend, so that was a blast.
Yeah, definitely. Robbie, kind of talk about your season, this season at least for M&R. Hasn't been great, we know. I know better than most.
Oh yeah.
Just talk about what a relief. Oh, we lost his camera.
I'm getting a phone call. Hang on.
Oh, all right. He's getting.
I'll make a little point too. I did look up Robbie Lyons' best finish this season was 8th twice. So
okay.
He's got two 8th place finishes this season, but
yeah,
I do agree with. It's not been the best of seasons, but there's still been some bright spots. Carry on, Brandon.
Yeah, no, I could say I've watched him very closely, probably more closely than anybody. It's been a lot of luck that hasn't gone his way. How big of a I guess relief would be a good word to use tonight. Really no issues. It was a solid top 12 finish. Obviously a couple of obstacles, with the pit strategy and that last little bit there with Colin and Nick and Jordan.
No idea what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, I don't either. Nope. We're just gonna keep now. You definitely do.
I for sure do.
Yeah. But talk about how nice it is just to have a race like this after the way just like the last few weeks have been even.
Yeah. Yeah, what did I finish? 12th?
Yeah, you finished 12th.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like a win to me. Didn't get into it with anybody. I've had a long list of people that maybe I me, I'm not the kind of guy that's going to go out there and get revenge or anything, but there's a long list of guys I would sure like to get revenge on, But
a couple of people that would rat people out.
Yeah, it's just it goes back to what we first talked about. The aggressiveness of everybody in this series has gone up, and I've just been on the receiving end of it a few times. But yeah, my season started off really rocky. Getting wrecked at Daytona, or it was Talladega, right? Unrestricted race.
Mm-hmm. The COT.
Yeah, and then Motegi with a car sitting in the middle of the racetrack and hitting it, and but I'm glad, at least through my misfortune, it led to some rule changes that I think have really helped. Yeah, it's just been one thing after the other. I would say I'm relieved that next week's the last race of the season. But then we've got a really long break until the next M&R season in October, and part of me is sad that it's over, and that it's going to be that long without it. But I guess we'll just make the next season that much sweeter when we get started. Hopefully it's a Daytona again, restricted.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, Robbie, thank you very much for your time. A pretty decent, well-deserved 12th place finish. You didn't get any trouble. So congratulations on that, and best of luck to you at Homestead.
Yeah, thank you. Last time, I don't know if it was the last time I raced at Homestead, but I know I got a championship and a win there, so my only M&R win. And hoping we can go there next Monday and do the same thing over again and upset these championship guys.
That'd be great.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
Robbie. Yep, thanks.
We'll see you.
All right, Brandon. We are going to be looking ahead at Homestead Miami Speedway, and let's get those playoff championship standings up there too. Getting ready to be thrown up there for the Monday Night Racing.
There they are.
Folks. We have 4 drivers competing for one championship. We got Corey Heim. We've got Leighton Sibile, who just won here. We got Chase Cabry. We got Adam Cabot. Brandon, out of those 4 drivers, who are you picking as your champion?
Whew. That's a tough list to pick from. I mean, we heard Robbie. He said Adam was the favorite. It's hard to bet against him from being here, at least in a sim racing championship like this. I'm going to pick Corey Heim, though. I mean, Corey has been outstanding every time he's been able to finish, at least, and not have a connection issue. But it's hard to bet against Corey, but it's also hard to bet against Adam. And then you got Chase and Leighton, who I don't know if I'd consider, maybe Leighton would be a little bit of an underdog. Chase has been up there all year. But I right now would say I'm going with Corey Heim.
Yeah, Chase Cabry, Mr. Cool and consistent. We've already mentioned Leighton Sibile's Christopher Bell reference, and Adam Cabot and Corey Heim have been the class of the field. I'm actually going to be agreeing with you with Corey Heim. Even though he had internet connection stability issues, I believe that he won in Xfinity cars before. Wasn't it at Texas when he was starting to do his part-time, like I said, before his full-time season this season? So Corey Heim has proven that he can adapt to different situations, different tracks, and different cars. I actually look for Corey Heim to be a favorite, but Corey Heim does not have this wrapped up. Adam Cabot is going to give a run to his money for Corey Heim. So that's something to really watch out for. But I want to take a little reminiscent back to, are we going to top what we saw in season 5 finale between Presley Soren and Anthony Alfredo with those 2 drivers wrecking at the line?
I don't know about that. I mean, that was a finale I don't know if anybody will ever top. I remember watching that race and I was going nuts, I'm sure everybody at home was going nuts. Everybody at the esports hub was going nuts. I mean, that was a finale I don't think you'll ever top. Will we see action similar? Probably. Will we see something as crazy as that? Probably not. And will we see a car flip across the line? I don't know. If we get a late race restart, maybe if we have a bunched up field, there's a chance. But no, it's going to be a good race. Homestead always puts on a good show, especially in the Xfinity car on iRacing. It's probably, in my opinion, the best car out of the top 3, just because of the handling factor, and especially if the weather cooperates too with the way the Xfinity car drives, it's going to be outstanding. You'll be able to run the outside groove next to the wall. You'll hopefully be able to run the inside and make a pass. Don't know if you will be able to do that, but it depends on the setup. If we have a good setup, it'll be multi-groove. It's going to be an entertaining race, though. And like you said before, let's not hand it to Corey yet. We still got 4 of these guys. They're all going to be in it. I expect all of them to run at least in the top 6 at minimum, just because that's the way we see these championship races usually go. But it's going to be a great race. It's going to be entertaining. I'm looking forward to it. I know you're looking forward to it. Everybody's looking forward to it. And it's going to be a little bit different, as we said, not going to be in person this year. Everybody's going to be at home, so on their home rigs. So, you know, they might have a little advantage, as Robbie said in his interview. But either way, it's going to be great. It's going to be a great race.
It's been interesting following this series. I've enjoyed this series, watching the different storylines. It's been expecting the unexpected. It's, for example, even for this race, did you expect a caution-free race at the beginning of the year? No.
No.
But now we've got a little bit of news that Monday Night Racing dropped. Season 7 is continuing, but it's not going to be in the summer series. Season 7 is going to be starting October 23rd, but there's going to be events during the summer too, so fret not, Monday Night Racing fans. Like I said, you will get your fix, but Season 7 will not start until the fall of this year. Brandon, one final race, as we mentioned it, Xfinity Series cars at Homestead Miami Speedway, February 13th, right here on Twitch, on the Podium Esports, and as Front Stretch's YouTube page as well. You can catch all the action right here. Brandon, one more race to go, one more post race, and this season's over. What a ride has it been.
Yeah. It's sad to see it go, we've had a good season. I know me and Mike, we've had a good show. Jared, you've done a great job filling in. It's been fun having all the guests on. I know we got one more week of this next week, but I've had a blast. It's going to be a little weird having, that 8-month break. But there's going to still be plenty of stuff to do during those 8 months. We got real life action on the track. I know all these guys in the league, they're going to be busy in their real jobs. And then when everybody's ready to go and when the season's winding down in the fall, I know we're going to probably see an even better season than we saw this season. I know it's been a very competitive year. Everybody's had a blast. I've had a very fun time watching. Everybody's had a blast this season. And just from every interview we've seen, everybody says this is the most competitive season we've had of MNR. And I just know it's going to get better and better as it continues through the winter or through the fall this upcoming year and through the winter. So
from everyone here from the Podium Esports, from Brandon Hoff, from Jared, signing off here at Homestead Miami Speedway. We will see you then. From now, as always, make sure to have a great race weekend.